everybody. Welcome back to Passions Podcast, the podcast where we talk about the soap opera Passions. I am your regular host, Latara, back today with Dr. Eric Vera.
Hey! Woo. And the
Welcome back.
soundboard is back. Yay!
Yeah, the
I am
soundboard's
so thrilled to be back, and I just want to start off with a declarative statement. I hate Grace Bennett. Not the actress. I love me some Dana. I hate Grace Bennett.
We love Dana Sparks, and God bless Dana Sparks for putting up with that Grace bitch for as long as she did. Oh my God, Grace Bennett. I have lots to say. As a matter of fact, I actually wanted to start with Magic today. We're not going to because we have to do a little bit of the troubled marriages first, but it's still Grace. So
yeah, there we go.
We're starting with Grace and getting into the Magic stuff so we can talk mad shit about Grace because she is a horrible mother. Horrible.
But you know who I don't hate? Your Patreon people.
Oh my gosh. Thank you, Eric, for your reminder because child,
you were ready to jump in, right?
To jump right into Passions. All right. Thank you. Let's give a shout out to all our patrons over on Patreon. Thank you to Munashe, Breland, Lisa, Sid, Sarana, Randall, Hannah, Camelia, Samantha, Eric, Fantasia, Sean, S, Larissa, Maria, George Lopez Fitzgerald, Lisa, Jessica, Laura, Karen, Uche, Paige, Casey, Tom, Bergeron, Pablo, Daisy, Shane, and our newest patron, Kelly. Thank you so much, Kelly, for becoming a patron. Thank you all for being patrons and hanging in there with me. Again, without you, this show would not be on the air. We wouldn't be doing this anymore. So thank you. Actually, let me go ahead and announce that we're going to be having some watch parties at the end of the month. So September the 23rd and September the 30th, put those on your calendar. Right now, 7 o'clock Eastern time, we're going to be having watch parties September 23rd, September 30th. Those are both Monday nights. So hopefully I'll see you all there. Join the Patreon at any tier to join us.
They're a lot of fun, y'all. It's a lot of fun to get together with the group and just talk smack about the episodes as they're playing.
Yeah, I really enjoy the watch parties. I really do. Yeah. I also, next month, I don't have the time this month, but next month I am going to bring back game night. So
yeah. So and I figured out how we can do our other games as well. So
the Jackbox games?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, good. All right. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that too. Eric was we tried to do a little Jackbox game night just over the summer on Discord. And it was fun. I think we struggled because we couldn't figure out.
Yes, but now I figured it out. Yes. My little laptop couldn't manage. The old laptop couldn't manage it. This one can. So.
Oh, okay. All right. So with that, on with the show, y'all, we are talking about episodes 706 through 710. Yes?
That is correct.
And truthfully, I really enjoyed these episodes.
Oh yeah, they were fun. There was a lot in here. I started off talking to Latara and I said, everybody was in these episodes. And I was like, wait, no. And then Latara finished my sentence, which was like, no Simone. Yeah, no Jessica.
And Simone and Jessica are nowhere to be seen. Reese also is notably absent. But when he's absent, it's not that big of a deal because he's not a part of any of these families, you know?
Yeah.
But these other two girls, their families just don't care about them, don't care where they are at all. Couldn't care less. Could not care less.
They might as well be Noah and Paloma and
yeah. Oh my goodness, we get a mention of Paloma this week.
Yes, I was impressed.
Yeah, we get a mention of Paloma this week. So let's dive in. Let's talk about what's going on with Grace and this paternity test. Or not paternity, maternity test.
Here we go.
Those are words you don't hear very often. Yeah. It's a maternity test. Huh. Okay. So, Eve, remember last week, Eve opens the envelope and decides that she's going to lie for Ivy because Ivy had revealed to her that she was the one that drugged Whitney, and she promised her that if Eve told the truth about John not being Grace's son, that she would make sure that Whitney and Simone both get hooked on drugs.
And did you see Ivy do the line of the bump of coke this time?
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
yeah, and yeah, she's horrible. She is so
She,
horrible.
just to clarify, she didn't do she didn't do a bump of coke.
No,
She pantomimed it
yeah.
to Eve. There we
Yeah,
go.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah.
She to kind of push Eve in the direction that she
Yeah.
wanted her to go in, right?
Yeah.
So Eve lies and says, "Yep, the results say." I mean, she didn't even look at this paper really. She was just like, "Yep, John is Grace's son,"
Yeah.
and Rebecca is like, "Bullshit."
I know. I wrote down Rebecca was like, "Fuck that!" Like she's like, "No, I need to take Ivy down."
Yeah. So she storms across, grabs the paper out of Eve's hand, and tries to read the results, but she can't make heads or tails of it because it's all just numbers and
As we
percentages and
predicted.
things that
Yeah.
yeah. And so Sam asks Eve, we just want to make sure everything is correct because I think Sam takes it too and is like, yeah, I can't read this. I think he makes a joke about at Rebecca about like, oh, I'm sure a doctor would be able to understand it. Maybe we
Yeah.
should let the doctor
Yeah.
like read the results. So he takes a look at it. He's like, yeah, I can't understand it. He gives it back to Eve. Eve looks at it. He says, are you sure? Can you double check? Make sure that you interpreted these results correctly. And Eve says, yep, I was right. John is Grace's son. And there's no doubt, is what she says. There's no doubt that John is your son. So
Yeah.
there's that.
Tabitha said something about being a monkey's uncle, but I don't know what it was in
She
reference
did.
to.
I don't either. Let
I'll
me
be
be real with
honest.
you.
I went out last night, and so I was like, I'm gonna watch an episode. But Eric hit up a couple martinis before watching the episode, so I have some notes that are very sassy, and
Ah,
I'm having to read what past Eric wrote today.
we love it. I love it.
Good.
I love
I just
that.
put Tabitha says I'll be a monkey's uncle, and it was misspelled. It looks like ulcer.
She, she did say something. I mean, she and Timmy are kind of lurking around the entire
Yeah.
time, right? And doing very little. We do finally get a little bit of something with them that's sweet and
Yeah.
cute, and we will get to that. But
Yeah.
yeah, she's hanging out saying stuff that doesn't make any sense. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know why she said that. I don't remember. I remember her
Yeah.
saying it and being like, "What does she mean by that?"
Yeah.
So anyway, Rebecca's still not convinced. Doesn't matter though.
Mm-mm.
But it actually it does matter because we as the audience know that Rebecca's still not convinced and she's still going to try and work to uncover Ivy's plot. So that is it.
Yeah.
That is important.
Yeah.
David walks over to Eve and questions her like, why did you lie, Eve?
They compare some notes. Yeah.
And she explains her reasoning. She explains Ivy threatened my daughter, said she would get them hooked on drugs. She already drugged one of them. And then she says to David, she says, you could tell the truth.
I loved that.
I did
She's
too.
like, you tell and we're all good. And David's like, nah, I'm good.
Yeah, well, he looks over at Grace and John, and Grace and John are so happy. But also, let's not act like David's not being completely selfish here.
Oh, heck yeah. Yeah.
Right?
This
Because
works
he
out
says,
perfect for him. He does love Grace. Let's not forget
Mhm.
that. So,
He says to her, he says, well, who's to say that if Ivy's plot is uncovered, that she won't still get your kids hooked on drugs? There's no telling what Ivy will do, right? She'll probably
yeah.
take us all down just because
Yeah.
she was found out, right? And Eve says, are you saying that because you really care about my my girls and what will happen to me, or are you saying that to protect yourself? And David says, well, John and Grace are so happy. I don't really want to take their happiness away. Maybe this is a good thing. No one really needs to know. He sounds like Ivy now,
Yeah.
right? He's saying the same rationale using the exact same rationale that Ivy has been using on him, that he's been
Yeah.
so adamant against this whole time. Now, all of a sudden, it's like, no, they're so happy. I don't want to take their happiness away. And, maybe this is a good thing. Nobody needs to know. Who's gonna know?
Yeah.
Who's gonna know?
No, they're not gonna know. They're gonna know.
They're gonna know. They're not gonna know. How
gonna
would
know.
they know?
How would they know? I love
That's
when
a
we can
TikTok
sneak
sound. If y'all
a
don't know.
TikTok. Yeah. TikTok
Um,
sounds.
yeah. So he's like, "Who's gonna know?" Then Eve tells him well, just promise me that you're not going to try and break up Grace and Sam's marriage. To which he says, what kind of man do you really think I am? That's not an answer. She told you, she said, promise me you won't try to break up their marriage. What kind of man do you think I am? I don't know, the kind of man that will come in town and pretend to be Grace's husband and not say anything
Yeah.
when not say anything when this woman is blackmailing you into letting your son believe that this woman is his mother. That's the kind of man I think you are, and that's not very good, sir.
Yeah.
Like, you don't seem
Yeah.
like a good man. And not only that, he like kidnapped Grace when he first got there.
That's right.
So that whole delivery, because it's one thing for them to realize, oh, we're both in the same boat, we're both being blackmailed by Ivy, but that doesn't make us both good people, right?
No.
And to Eve's mind, she is a good person, even though she's not. But to her mind, she is.
Yeah.
And I guess to David's mind, he's a good person as well. But Eve never, I don't think Eve ever thought of David as a good person.
No.
I don't know.
There's
But
something sketchy about him. I mean, like, just in general, like, that's all we get of him. I would think he was sketchy. I mean, I just
yeah,
based off of what we see.
yeah, he's extremely sketchy. What kind of man do you really think I am? Ivy rolls in, zooms in, and she says, I'll answer that. He's a weak, sniveling coward. Okay, girl. You know what? I was living for it.
Yeah, ease up on him though. I mean, they are doing what you asked, so just no.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, she's got all the power, and Ivy
yeah.
she's on. She's also riding a high right now. Like, I'm gonna be real
Ivy's
with
on a
you.
full rampage. Yeah, like she's yeah,
Listen, if I had narrowly escaped the way that Ivy had just narrowly escaped, I would be riding a performance high.
yeah,
Like, I'm gonna be like, you know how when you perform, go do a show, and then after a show you just feel like amazing, like, let's go eat
yeah,
some steak. Like,
yeah.
you know?
Yeah, this is where I play a brand new day from The Wiz. She's
Yeah.
like, everybody rejoice because the sun is shining bright for
What you
us.
see.
Yeah,
Can
she
you
is so
see
happy.
a brand new day?
Yeah,
Yeah, she's really riding cloud nine, and she is
yeah,
she's just off on a tear. So
yeah,
yeah, she calls him a weak, sniveling coward. And then says, unlike you, Eve, you're a good person for lying for me. You're a good person. You knew what to do, the right thing to do. And Eve then says to her, like, steps to her and is like, listen, Ivy, if you or anybody connected to you ever comes near one of my daughters, I will kill you. And she was not joking. She
oh
was
yeah, it
dead
was
ass serious.
and great delivery.
My issue is she already came near one of your kids. She has already done that damage. So where is the smoke?
Yeah,
Right? So to me, it is actually more bark than bite. And Ivy
yeah.
knows that because Ivy retorts, okay, Eve, whatever.
Yeah, I'm surprised Eve
Yeah.
didn't sneak. Yeah, yeah, I'm surprised Eve didn't sneak at least a slap. This is usually where we get some kind of reaction from somebody like that, like a Pilar, or if somebody's gonna actually do something. I
Yeah.
mean, shit, Grace damned her, so like at least Eve could smack her.
Yeah,
But
I agree. I don't think, and we talked about this last week. I do not think the reaction to Eve finding out that Ivy was the person who drugged Whitney was large enough. I don't think that reaction was large enough. I don't think it
yeah,
was severe enough. It was just like a fear.
I
That's
mean,
all it was.
she basically admitted she hates Ivy way more than she hates Julian. That should say something about how much hate she has for Ivy and for her not to retort in some way. And I know Ivy has all the power right now. I recognize that. But she doesn't really. I mean,
That's what
she's
I was about to
threatening. Yeah.
say.
She does, now that I'm thinking about it, she doesn't have any power over you right now besides the fact that you don't want to admit your past and all of that stuff. I get it. But she came after your kid.
Yeah, and she gave up any real leverage that she had when she exposed herself
Yeah.
as the person who drugged your child. Your
Yeah.
like she gave up any leverage she had because then you can use that information on top of everything else to finish her. And
Yeah.
sure, your secret is going to come out about your past, but you had already come to terms with that. She had
Yeah.
already come to terms with that.
It was so
The
cool
thing
to see her do that.
The only thing
And then
she's scared about now is that she's worried that her daughters are going to get hooked on drugs. But you know who the person is that was trying to hook them on drugs. You
yep,
know, you can try and you can do everything within your power to try and keep them safe.
yeah,
Like, you know where the threat is coming from.
yeah,
It just doesn't track for me. But what, especially as a black mama, like, it just doesn't track for me.
yeah,
Like, yeah, it just doesn't track for me. But
yeah.
moving on, we're gonna move on. Eve storms off saying, first Eve says to her, if you come near my children, I'll kill you, Ivy. And Ivy says, okay, Eve, whatever, as long as you promise to never tell Ethan and Sam the truth. Like, she's
Yeah, that's
so
yeah. I wrote
flippant about
as
it.
long as you don't fuck with me, I'm good.
The okay, Eve, whatever cracked me up. Like, it was just so flippant and so like, whatever,
Yeah,
doesn't matter to me. Okay, Eve, whatever.
yeah,
So Eve storms off. Ivy is happy as a clam. And so now let's move into our fun little magic storyline. You ready?
sure.
Okay. So remember, these children have gone back to the Bennett home, which is interesting to me. You would think that they would have stuck around for the DNA results, but Kay, Charity, and Miguel have gone back to the Bennett home while everybody
Yeah,
else is still at the ashes of Pilar's house.
yeah. Kay doesn't want another sibling, so that's why it's very easy for her to be like, I don't need the answer to this question.
That's true. That's very true. So, remember last week, Kay and Zombie Charity had both gone to their rooms and put on the most unsexy negligees you could possibly find that covered them from chin to ankle.
Puritans, yeah,
I mean, they were covered from earlobe to soles of their feet. I want
yeah,
to be clear. These girls were fully covered.
yeah.
Okay. And that's important because later on, there's a lot of
How could you be wearing that?
yeah, there's a lot of outrage about what the girls are wearing, and they are literally wearing prom dresses. Like,
Yeah, I was gonna say they look sexier in their like prom outfits. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like, yeah,
yes, they were showing way more skin at
yeah,
the Valentine's Day dance with those spaghetti strap shirts. These girls have on robes.
yeah,
They're dressed like acolytes. Like,
yeah.
they
That's funny.
it's
That's good.
ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. So anyway, they got put on their sexiest, like, acolyte robes, and are both trying to go downstairs to seduce Miguel, but they run into each other in the hallway, and then they start to fight with each other. Miguel gets up off the couch, shirtless, of course. He, instead of going up the stairs to see what's going on, he stands at the base of the stairs, looking up there like, Charity, Charity, are you okay? Even though he sees demon's wings, like, he sees
Yeah,
the shadow of some demon wings. He thinks Charity's being attacked by a demon, but he doesn't do anything. He just stands there. And then the two girls fall down the stairs together. They like roll down the stairs. And when they get up, they just both, oh my God, this whole scene was so
yeah,
awkward and uncomfortable. They get up. Miguel's like confused about what's going on. He like accuses Kay of being a demon. He's like,
yeah,
I saw Charity up there and like a demon. And Kay's like, are you calling me a demon?
yeah. That was funny. That was really good. Kay was funny. These episodes, like, just
Oh, Kay's really coming into her own.
yeah,
Okay, I am solidly, and have been for a while, but really solidly on Kay's side and Team
yeah.
K in all aspects at this point, including the fire.
Yes, yeah. Well, it just serves as a great reminder that like Kay's arc throughout the entire series is one of the best and fun arcs that you can go on. because
Yeah.
we just invest so much time with her, and so seeing early K, like, this is fun. She's one of my favorite Ks.
Yeah.
There's another K coming down the road that is my favorite, but this one, she's definitely, like, when I think of K, I do think of this one as well.
It's funny to think that I am like, when I say including the fire, do I think that was smart for her to do? No,
Oh
I do
yeah,
not think it was smart. I think it was very dumb. I think it was very sinister, like, of her. However, there's something about how she operates and afterwards that really, I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm on Kay's side. I
yeah.
don't know. I was like, yeah, okay, so she burned down the house. She didn't mean to.
Yeah, there are Theresa haters, there's Gwen haters, but I don't meet a lot of people who hate Kay. I don't. Uh,
There's a lot of people who hate Kay, actually.
really?
Yeah.
I don't.
Anytime I post on the social media, like, clips of
That's
Kay,
good to know.
there's a lot of people who absolutely hate
Wow.
her.
I mean,
No,
I was wondering because I'm like, where are these people? Because okay, now I know. Oh, they exist. I'm not one of them. I like Kay.
it's funny. I'm gonna give Maria a shout out real quick. I was talking to Maria at work, I think, the other day, and she was, she did the like, Zoom meeting with Eric. I can't remember the second Ethan. I
Yeah,
can't
yeah,
remember his
yeah.
last name. Eric
Uh, Lu-
Marstall.
yeah, uh-huh.
Him
And
and
Luis.
Galen. Yeah,
Yeah.
Galen Guerin, who plays Louise. And she, I guess, on the Zoom mentioned that she was a fan of Gwen, and the guy
Yes.
and Eric was like, "Oh, I didn't know Gwen had fans." And she was like, "No, yeah, I am
Yeah.
one of them."
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just interesting because I felt a little bit vindicated in that moment when she told me that, because I was like, "Yeah, he was on the show. He didn't even know she had fans."
That's yes.
I was blown away when I found out she had fans.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that Gwen has fans. She should have fans.
Yeah.
It actually makes sense. Anyway,
You gotta root for your people,
yeah,
and whether they're your heroes or your villains, or
yeah,
you suspect them as your heroes. So yeah.
yeah. So, or if you just, they resonate with you in some way.
Yes. And I think that's what Kay is like.
Yeah,
I don't know. She's relatable. It's not that I'm gonna go burn somebody's house down, but like out of an act of desperation, this is what she could come up with.
absolutely.
And it's the same thing with her thinking that she can, again, repeat the same thing again and make Miguel fall, like make love to her instead of Charity.
Yeah.
His house just burned down. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if he's gonna be in the mood to mess. He really isn't in the mood to mess around. Like he's
No, he
totally
really
like
isn't.
trying to be good.
He keeps telling these girls to put on some clothes.
Yes, he does. He quite literally does say that.
When he
Yes.
realizes that they're like in these like negligees, which again, I will remind everybody, covers them from the top of their heads like it's a nun's habit. Okay, like it's not really at the top of the head, but they are really fully,
Yeah.
and completely covered. Um, but he sees them in these like silky robes, and he's like, oh,
Yeah.
he's thoroughly scandalized. He's like,
Yeah.
oh my
So
goodness. He like turns his face away from them.
Yeah, at one point, the Tabitha and Timmy music came on when he realizes they're in the outfits that they're in. I don't know if you noticed that. It was like not. If it was such a funny, like a whimsical musical cue.
I heard this is the musical cue I heard at one point.
You want to set it?
No, not that one.
You need to leave that.
You want to say it? No, it was this one.
Yes. It was it was okay, yeah, it was that music. Like it was like the scandalous music, and I was like, "Oh, you got the Rebecca." I mean, people can summon that music, but it often is Rebecca who
Well,
or
yeah,
Julian. Yeah.
he goes. Well, so Miguel, they like explain, "Oh, Miguel, we were coming downstairs to bring you blankets, but neither one of them had a blanket."
Yeah.
And
Big-
It's like we were coming down and then we fell, and then they're like, and you just had such a rough night. We just want to make sure you're okay, and let me go get you some water. And Miguel's like, no, I'll go get it myself. And while I'm
yeah.
gone, can you two put on more clothes? Like I don't
Yeah.
think that Sam, what do they call him? Chief Bennett and Mrs. Bennett would appreciate, us being down here together in
Yeah.
various states of undress, basically.
Yeah, I laughed because I wrote in my notes, it's like Miguel said, "Y'all look like sluts. Like, could y'all like? I don't want to
Yeah,
get in trouble. It's, yeah,
basically.
I don't have a house."
That's basically what it says. I don't have anywhere else to go. Y'all can't get me kicked out of here. But I also wanna note that Miguel is wearing the least of everyone.
And it is mentioned. It is mentioned at some point, and I
Yeah,
can't wait to get there.
he's wearing the least of everyone. He has on boxers. That's it.
Yeah. Now,
So
yeah, he hasn't summed up Sam Bennett glistening skin yet,
not
but
yet.
but
But if
it's
anybody
on the
needs to put some
brink.
clothes on, it's him.
Yeah,
If anybody needs to put some clothes on, it's him.
yeah.
So he goes to the kitchen, get some water. These two girls kind of bicker back and forth a little bit. He comes back, and the girls are still undressed. Well, not undressed. They're still in their negligees, basically, and haven't put on more clothes.
Yeah.
And then Charity like sits him down on the couch. She's like, "Oh, you must be so tired." She very seductively like sits him down on the couch, gets down on her knees in front of him, grabs his leg, and starts like puts it up on the table and starts like rubbing it really seductively and like rubbing his feet. And Kay, not to be outdone, steps up to his back and like starts to rub his shoulders. Miguel is visibly uncomfortable with this.
You would think this would be like sexy or like a fantasy. The character, the actor actually plays this as uncomfortable. He's
Because it
very
is.
uncomfortable by this. Like, yeah,
I'm
he
with
doesn't
him. I
want
was
this.
uncomfortable too.
Because, well, you have to recognize too, it's like, okay, it would be one thing again, he's trying to get with Charity. Like you said last week, he totally thinks there's something off with Charity. He's still trying to recognize like why she is like horned up Charity. They've been talking for years about like when they would do this and build up to it. So he is definitely kind of thrown off by that. But then you have this other girl as well that's like rubbing up on you as well that he
Hmm.
is not interested in at this. Well, we talked about subtext and we talked about how he has led Kay on and stuff, but like he's just doesn't know what to do. He's so,
Yeah,
and I think it plays up to like this inexperience, like this, like I don't know how to read this room right now. He really
exactly.
doesn't. Like it is a weird room to read,
It's
like you
very
said.
weird. It's very uncomfortable. Thank God some adults showed up. But
Yes.
before we talk about that, I neglected to mention, and this is actually very important, that the way they explain away the shadow of the demon wings is that these girls, their robes have
Yeah.
large, very large billowy sleeves. Like, because again, they're dressed like acolytes of the sun. Like they are like
Well,
priestesses or something.
my
So these
my
sleeves are
favorite
very wide.
Yeah, my favorite pronunciation of the word negligee comes from Blanche Elizabeth Devereaux of the Golden Girls. She's like, a negligee. And so they are wearing a Blanche Devereaux negligee, except she actually made those look sexy. They're frilly and they flow. It's like silk. And so
Yeah.
that's where they tried to play it off that that might have looked like a wing for
Yeah,
like of a demon.
both of their sleeves were like large bell sleeves, like
Yeah.
and so yeah, it could look like wings. It was just so funny though because they both started showing off their negligees, like, and they're
Yeah.
just like, I don't know. I think I wrote in my notes they start flapping their wings
Yeah.
seductively like
Pretty much.
peacocks in heat.
Yeah.
That's exactly
That's
what it
funny.
was. So yeah, these girls flapping their wings like peacocks in heat. And whatever, trying to flirt with Miguel. And but that happened before they started doing the massages and things. And so we're back to the massages, the foot massage, the shoulder rub, the uncomfortableness, the awkwardness. Miguel trying to get away from them, but they won't let it happen. And finally, some adults show up. Sam
This
and
is
Grace.
where that music came in. Sam and Grace walked in, and that's where we got.
Yeah, that's exactly when it happened.
Because
They
they go,
look up.
what on earth?
Yeah, they are thoroughly scandalized
Yeah.
by what's going on. And let me find my there it is. Grace and Sam come home and they're thoroughly scandalized. Okay, so Sam very quickly like grabs Miguel and pulls him away from the girls. And then Grace tells the girls, yells at the girls and says, "I'm so disappointed in you. Go upstairs now. Go to your rooms. I can't even look at you." And let's talk about the conversation that Sam has with Miguel
Okay,
first.
that's simple. It's yeah, we can knock that out real fast.
Yeah. Sam basically tells Miguel to explain what's going on, and Miguel and poor Miguel is like,
He
"I
can't.
don't know."
Yeah, he's like, dude, I swear, I was trying to like go to bed, man.
Yeah, the girls just came down here and I think they were just trying to like make me feel comfortable because I had a rough night. Sam doesn't really believe that Miguel didn't have anything to do with what
Yeah.
looked like a threesome about to happen in
Yes.
his living
Uh-huh.
room.
Yep. Very much. It
he
very
doesn't
much looked like that.
he doesn't believe it, but he also is understanding and tells Miguel, keep it in your pants. Really?
Yeah, again, just to knock it out fast. I mean, he basically, but Miguel does say like, I tried. He explains the whole thing, which we don't need to get into because we just did. But the route that he also takes is he's like, honestly, Coach Bennett, Chief Bennett, I saw like some devil wings or like I thought the demons were coming back for like a second time.
Yes, and Sam is like, "Are you saying that my niece or my daughter are demons?"
Sir, your house is gone. You had to build a new one.
Yeah.
Demons exist.
Yeah.
You know demons exist. It's not far fetched for Miguel to be like, I saw the devil.
Yeah, and Sam does eventually like kind of accept it. And he cared. The thing about Sam and Grace is that they care about and this is it's not
Yes,
just Sam and Grace, it's like this whole community. They care
yes,
about each other's
yeah,
children, to an extent,
yeah. Well, I mean, Eve does this later on in the episode when we get there. I mean, like they're a community that are helping to raise all. They
Yeah,
are
it takes a
watching out for each
village.
other's people. Yeah, there it is.
It
That's
takes a village,
yes,
right?
that's exactly
And
yeah,
so Sam and Grace are part of Miguel's village. So
yeah,
Sam's not going to throw him out. And Miguel
yeah,
was worried about that. He's like, "You're not going to throw me out, are you? I
yeah.
don't really have anywhere to go."
So
Sam's like,
sad.
"No, you can sleep on the
Yeah.
couch. Just make sure you stay on the couch." Did he tell him to put a shirt on or not? Because he should have.
It comes later, and I can't wait to talk about it. But
Oh, he
yes, it
did. He
comes
told him to put on
later.
the. Oh, he did later on
Yes,
in the
in the
morning,
next
did he?
morning. Yeah, the
Yeah.
next morning, which we actually changed days. So just so
Yeah.
you,
Well, let's talk about Grace. Let's go upstairs. See what
yes, let's
happens
go
when the
back
girls
upstairs.
when the
This
girls
is
go
why
upstairs.
we're gonna get into why I started off the episode with I hate Grace Bennett.
Yeah. So the girls go back upstairs without Grace first. They go back, they kind of bicker a little bit. And oh, what was funny? I gotta say this little line. Zombie Charity tells Kay that she's still gonna make love to Miguel tonight, and Kay says to her, "Over my dead body." And the zombie goes, kinky, but doable. I loved that though.
Listen,
Like
it
that's
is
so funny.
so good to see Molly do anything that isn't
Mhm.
regular Charity.
Yeah.
And it just shows again, just to give her some respect, she's fun. She's a
She's
good actress.
solid.
Like
Yeah.
it's yeah. This is the range that she has
Yeah.
when they gave her stuff to do instead of being like, I just forgot I had a premonition. It's like no, she is funny, she's sarcastic, she is vindictive, she is
Mhm.
malevolent. I mean, it's real fun to watch her do this.
She does a great job. So Grace comes in, goes upstairs, and starts giving the girls a good stern talking to. As stern as Grace can be, I guess.
But stern to one and not the other.
Yeah, because it was like she felt very comfortable, like really being extremely judgmental of Kay,
Leaning
and
into
but
K.
then
Yeah.
and yeah, and kind of laying into Kay, and you could tell when she would turn to Charity that she was uncomfortable with doing that to her, and
And I
so
get it. It's twofold. One,
I don't.
well, I can get where okay, I can get where I would second guess this twofold. One, Charity's never done anything like this before, so how do you process this? Two, it's not your kid, but you're raising her like she is your kid. That's your niece. I can understand where there might be some hesitation.
Mhm.
That's all I'm saying.
Listen, I hear you. I hear you, and I understand where you're coming from. I think for me, it's like especially on the second point, Charity, for all intents and purposes, Charity is their daughter, is her
Yeah.
daughter. She has told her as much. She says, "I'm gonna treat you like one of my daughters.
Yeah.
You are basically my daughter." Charity, it's one thing because I think this all the time with my nieces and nephews, um, with especially with the younger ones. I'm not their mom. They have a mom,
Hmm.
right? Like
Hmm.
it's not
Hmm.
my place to necessarily mother them. But if they
Yeah.
did not have a mother,
Yeah.
I'm gonna mother you. I'm your mama now. Get
Well,
used to it.
and I will say that's what I'm saying. I was just saying for her. It doesn't mean that I would respond that way.
Yeah.
My brother and sister in law told me from the very beginning. It's like whenever the niece and nephew are with you, they're yours. You
Mm,
do and they got to listen to you. And they always told them, you listen to Uncle Eric, you listen to Grandma and Grandpa, and as if it was us. And
right.
that's just the way we were raised. That's the way I was raised with my vast amount of cousins and
Right.
aunts and uncles.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but with that said, she specifically looks over at Kay and says, "I have come to expect this kind of behavior from you, Kay." And it's like,
Based
it,
on what? That's what kills me. That's what gets me. Maybe
yeah.
it's just some shit we've just never seen, like that wasn't on camera. But I have never seen Kay get caught doing anything by Grace.
Anything specifically something like this.
I've never seen her get caught doing any. I know that Grace knows that Kay is more ambitious than Charity. I feel like, if that's maybe that's not the right word. Well, yeah, she goes after things and is a more assertive. That's what it is. She's more assertive, a little more aggressive than Charity,
She
and maybe
speaks her
that's
mind. I
where
mean,
she's coming
yeah.
from with that. But as far as like I never, because let's be clear, the behavior she's talking about is getting all sexed up, right, and going downstairs and like initiating a threesome with Miguel.
Yeah. And to me, Grace spoke to her like she was Monique to Pumpkin on Charm School. She was like, "Your behavior was whore-like. The whore jumped out and then jumped back in."
Back in again.
Yes, that's the way I felt Grace was speaking to Kay, and I did not like it.
Yeah,
That's your
you're
daughter,
absolutely right.
and if you want to have that conversation, take it separate. Like say, Charity, go to your room, or Charity, go downstairs real quick. I need to talk to Kay.
Mm-hmm.
Because to do that in front, and clearly being like, "You slut," then turning over to Charity and being like, "What's going on, Charity?
Yeah,
This is not like you." Like, it was just it infuriated me.
but what killed me about it is earlier tonight you found Charity at Miguel's house, half fucking
Exactly.
naked. What are you
Yeah.
talking about?
Yeah.
What are you talking about? I wouldn't expect this. I'm very disappointed in this behavior from you, Charity. I wouldn't expect this behavior from you, Charity. You just saw it.
Yeah.
You literally just saw it. That's
Yeah.
it's a continuation of the earlier behaviors you saw earlier tonight.
Yeah.
And so that really bugged me. But
Yeah.
yeah, the way she turned to Kay and says like, "I expect this kind of behavior from you, but I'm actually really disappointed in you, Charity." Turning back to Charity, "I'm actually really disappointed in you,
So
Charity."
mean. It was so out of line.
Then, but I'm not done, because then Zombie Charity says, like, in a way to, I guess what she was doing was playing up the Charity angle, right? Like
Yeah.
trying to really be like Charity.
Yeah.
And so she's like, "No, Aunt Grace, it's really all my fault. Like, don't blame Kay. I asked Kay to come down with us because basically because to be our chaperone, basically." And Grace turns to Kay and is like, "Well, you were doing such a good job of that, weren't you, Kay? You know what the fuck, bitch? Maybe you should
Yeah.
have been home with your fucking kids."
And how does that not make any sense? Like, how does that make any sense to Grace? First of all, she knows damn well that Kay wants Miguel. Why would she work? So is it the idea that Grace really thinks that she was like, the closest I'll get to Miguel is by having a threesome with Charity?
Yeah,
Is
what's
that
the
the
thought
thinking
process?
there?
What's the thought process? And so then she Kay says to Grace, "I tried to stop them, Mom. Like, I was trying
Yeah.
to stop what was maybe gonna happen, And Grace says, dress like that.
Yeah.
Oh, and for me, I was just like, dress like what? I'm not gonna get over it. I know that the show is trying to make us believe that these girls are slutted all the way up.
In
But
2002, it's not slutted up anyway. We were I mean, the thong song was out. I mean, like like,
listen to
and
me.
no offense to anybody who wears those. It's just like that to me in 2002 would have been the height of salacious.
They were so covered up that they could have gone outside in 1910 and nobody would have said a damn thing. I'm telling you, from earlobes to ankles
Yeah.
covered. I just, it
Like
just,
though it looked like Rose's outfit on the Titanic, like that
yeah,
nighttime outfit. Yeah.
yeah. Silky.
At
It's
one
just
point,
silky, and I'm supposed to believe that that's
silky,
sexy.
yes. Silk.
Silky
The
makes it
silk
sexy.
equates slut. Yeah.
Silky
Um,
is what?
at one point, just to drive home that Grace is a goody goody, she's like, I don't know what the heck. Like they made a clear point to say that Grace cannot say the word hell, and I just was like, come at this point, come on, I don't need this character development. I already know how she is.
She's so pathetic. She
Yeah.
calls their outfits salacious.
Yes.
Um,
Those
and
outfits were salacious.
asked them where they got them from. Zombie Charity is like, oh, I got this from my mom. Oh my
Yeah. Yeah. You called Faith a slut, Grace. That's what you said.
yes. And she was like, I got this from my mom. Like after the fire, I found some of her old things and I wear it to try and feel close to her. So Grace felt like a real heel after that. She's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
okay, well, I guess that explains it. She was like, I just never pictured Faith wearing something like that. And then she turns on Kay and is like, well, what about you? Where'd you get that? You slut. And Kay's like, well, I bought it for myself. And Grace says, oh, well, I know you want the attention of boys, but you don't need to cheapen yourself to get the attention of boys. But when was she? Mm. This is not the kind of outfit you wear outside. It's not something you wear to get attention from boys, right? Like I don't know.
And again, for all intents and purposes, Grace thinks that she's with. I mean, they know that Ross isn't really a good boy. Like they don't think that Kay's into Ross, but that's who she's with. So who is she trying to seduce with this?
yeah.
It
Well,
has to be
Miguel.
Miguel. Yeah, like she's not. Grace is not doing any math here.
Well,
Nothing.
and then oh my gosh, so she tells her, you know, you don't have to cheapen yourself to try and get boys. But my thing too is like everybody likes to wear nice soft things. Like I have a collection of like long they're caftans or muumuus or whatever. They're
Yeah.
like silky, they're comfortable, but then you also have like you have the ugly ones, you have the pretty ones, you have your good underwear, you have your bad underwear, like you know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like everybody
Yeah.
has like not something that makes them feel luxurious. I don't
Yeah.
think there's anything wrong with a girl 16, 17. How are these girls? They're
I got it. Yeah.
they're 16 or 17. What they were wearing, which I have made very clear to me, to my eye, was so incredibly tame. But even if I rolled back that and said, okay, it is the outfits are somewhat salacious to use Grace's
Yeah.
words, I still like would understand like young women at that age, you want to feel sexy. You want to feel at any age, not just at that age, but that's the age when you start wanting to like feel sexy and your
Yeah.
body's like feeling out in different kinds of ways and you're seeing how you look in different things. It's not, I think it's perfectly natural, perfectly normal. Grace
Yeah.
completely overreacted. Completely overreacted. So, anyway, Grace tells them oh, sorry. Kay explains what happened to Grace, right? About all like the lie that they're telling, which is that they were
Yeah.
taking blankets down and they fell and then they wanted to help Miguel like relax, right? And then Kay says, "Yeah, it's Charity's fault." Zombie Charity says, "Don't blame Kay. It's really my fault." And Kay says, "Yeah, it is Charity's fault," which she probably should have just kept her mouth shut, but she didn't.
Yeah.
And she's not wrong. She's right. She spoke up for herself. She's like, yeah,
Yeah.
it is Charity's fault. And Grace says, you're in no position to blame things on Charity, Kay. And then she sends them both to bed and she leaves. But it's like, Grace is so gross. Cause then the next morning,
Oh, I know. It get worse. It gets worse.
Kay comes down to breakfast. Kay and Charity come down to breakfast. And they smell like this. Oh, it smells so good in here, Kay says. Oh, I was really craving some sausage and pancakes or something like that. And Grace is putting together the most beautiful, like,
Gorgeous.
tray of food with flowers and juice and pancakes and sausage and everything, right? All the fixins. And Grace is like, oh, this is for John. What do you mean? What do you mean? She was like, yeah, I didn't make anything for you. I'm going to take this over to John. This is for my son, my precious son.
Yeah.
And what drove me crazy about this is like, who makes one meal?
Yeah,
Right,
nobody does that.
What do you mean there's only enough sausage and pancakes for John?
Yeah.
Why didn't you make enough for the household, Grace?
Three things. One, here we go. One, yes, you're absolutely correct. One, she makes one meal. She tells Kay, get some cereal, and when I'm finished with John, I will come back and make you a meal. Not a good answer to me. Like, that to me is so messed up. Two, Kay's just kind of flabbergasted by all of this, but it did make me think of Craig from Friday when he comes down and the mom has made one meal, and that is the person who did that is the mom from Friday. And then she also tells Craig to get some cereal. So I felt very much
To be
like
fair,
that.
Craig was a grown ass man.
Yes.
To be fair, she was sick of Craig eating up all her fucking food.
I want some pig's feet.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know what my third one was. I forgot what I was gonna make a point to say, but it's just asinine. It's so mean. It was just mean to be mean. Like,
Yeah,
I don't know.
weird. It was weird. Like
Yeah,
you're supposed to be like this happy homemaker, mother of the year. What do you
yeah,
mean you only made food for one of your children,
yeah,
who you just found out is your child?
yeah.
What do
Oh,
you
that
mean?
the third thing was she said, Kay, I don't even ever known you to be a breakfast person. She said that to Kay as a defense.
Which I don't believe one bit. I've seen Kay eat breakfast numerous times.
Yeah. You run a bed and breakfast. I would think that breakfast is a big part of the
Yeah.
Bennett household.
And another thing, actually, you just brought up something that I didn't even think about. John is staying at the bed and breakfast. Why the fuck are you making breakfast for him when he has breakfast over there? There's breakfast
Yeah.
at the bed and breakfast.
Yeah.
Or why wouldn't you just call him and say, hey, come over for
Come eat
breakfast?
over here with the family.
Yeah, why are you
Now that
taking him a tray to eat by himself in his room?
You mean to tell me that the Bennetts didn't use this as an opportunity to be like, particularly Grace, maybe not Sam, but to be like, you all, we put Noah on speakerphone. It is true. I have a son, and here it is. They ignored that today. They have ignored that, at least for right now. I don't know if it'll come back later. Probably will have to be like,
This
we're all a family now.
this is just the new normal. Grace only makes food for her new son. This is their new normal. So, after Grace leaves, Zombie Charity starts to kind of poke at Kay, telling her she needs to be concerned about going to jail, right?
Yeah.
Because she did commit arson. Let's be
Yeah.
honest. Let's be real about it. She did commit a felony. And
Yeah.
so at that moment, Sam comes into the house with the chief, or the fire chief.
Yes, I was confused at first. I was like, what the hell? And then I was like, oh, yeah, fire department.
Yeah, the fire chief comes in with Sam and says he has some questions for Kay about how the fire might have started. Why would
We
they
are,
have questions for all three of them? All
yeah,
three of them were at the
yes.
scene.
Exactly. When did you notice the smoke? Where did you notice the smoke coming from? There's so much to talk about here. But why Kay specifically? Like, I need to talk about Kay. And we're led to believe that there is some suspicion around Kay. That's not it. They
Yeah,
just wanted to ask Kay a question?
yeah.
Like,
And the question was, did you see anybody coming or going from from Pilar's house? did you see anything? And she was like, I already told you what I know, which is that I woke up because I smelled smoke, and then I saw the fire and I knew Miguel was inside. That's
Yeah.
what I know. I
Yeah.
already told you what I know.
So
Um,
there's something here. Miguel shows up without a shirt, to which Sam finally is like, "Don't you have a shirt?" And I was like, "That's my question all the time." But the second thing about this is, if I were Miguel, I would have been like, "No, they all burned up in the fire yesterday. You saw my room
right? Yeah,
burn up, right? Like it's not there."
gone. There
Because
is
we
everything's
learned
gone.
that, yeah, we learned that the Lopez Fitzgerald house did not all burn down. It is partially burnt up. So we
Yeah.
just don't know the magnitude of it. But Miguel's room, I can promise you, is probably not there.
Yeah, it says that the house was badly damaged. It looked like the whole damn house was in
Yes,
flames, but
that's
fine,
what we were
or
led to
whatever.
believe also.
So this at this y'all, this shit. Oh my god, this
I'm
blew
so
me.
excited. I'm so
So
excited.
the fire chief and Sam asked Kay if she saw anything. She says, "Nope, didn't see anything." Sam says, "All right, case closed."
Case closed.
He says, no point in looking for an arsonist if there's no leads on an arsonist. Gotta close
Yeah.
this case. No, I think he's deliberately says, no point in wasting taxpayer dollars on an investigation when we don't have any leads. It's your job to find the leads. That's
Yes,
what the
they
investigation
did.
is for.
The magnitude of their investigation was to ask a teenage girl, "Did you see anything?" And then that was it. It's over. It's
The
done.
level of incompetence in this fucking town. Also, Sam says case closed, and it's like it's not your job. It's the
Yeah,
chief, the
he's
fire
right
chief's
standing
job.
right there. Yeah.
But he's on board too. And if I was
And
Miguel, I would be pissed. I'm like, what do
well,
you mean case closed?
well, yes. So two things. One, they kind of theorized that maybe somebody just threw a cigarette and got sparked up and set the house on fire. You all, it is so incredible because Zombie Charity is us. Zombie Charity speaks for us and
Yeah.
says, "That's it."
The voice of the people. She is the voice of the people.
Yeah. The way her acting was so real. She's like, "That's it? Like, this is bullshit." And she's obviously, the whole point is that she's going to use this to get to Kay, to kind of implicate Kay, like well, it is not implicate. Well, she did do it, but like to put to put that on her.
To
But
expose Kay.
yes, but my God, I laughed so hard with
Me
Zombie
too.
Charity, like, and what she comes up with too.
Yeah.
She doesn't just, she goes for the jugular.
She was great. She says, like you said, that's it. Case closed? What do you mean? Someone tried to kill me. And then
Yes, and then she takes it. Yes.
yeah,
Go
then
for it.
she uses like the guilt angle, right? She says, you know, if Jessica or Noah or John or Kay were in that house, you wouldn't rest until you found out who tried to burn down that house. But because it's just me, a lowly niece, you don't
Yeah.
care.
She
And
goes,
so of
"I
course,
guess I'm just a cousin." It is so,
it was
so
great.
hysterical.
It was
Oh my
great.
God.
Like truthfully, this had me losing it. I was cracking
yeah.
up so hard. From when from the moment Sam said case closed
Yeah.
to the moment that she starts like going off, I was cracking up because what do you mean case closed? And I'm with Charity. I'm with Zombie Charity all the way on this. So then
Yeah.
the Zombie Charity, she gets upset. Sam tells her, you know, I'm apologizes basically. He's like, we're gonna look more into this. I want to make sure that you feel like you're part of the family, and we're gonna look more into it and do more investigation and keep it open. And the zombie says, what if somebody deliberately tried to kill us? And that's why Sam says, okay, we'll keep investigating. And then Zombie tries to kind of lead the investigation into Kay's direction, tries to point things in her direction. And she frames the whole thing
Yeah.
around a jealous girl. She's like, what if there was a girl who's really jealous of me because I'm with Miguel and she wants to be with Miguel? But Miguel, what she say? But Miguel doesn't want to be with her, so she want a revenge on him and me. And yeah, she.
And to me, if I were Chief Bennett and I'm hearing this, I'd have been like, so y'all were gonna fuck last night, right? Like that's you just you like that's the only reason somebody was going to set the house on fire.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just them being together, I think, is like what she was
Yeah.
trying to say. But it was, she points it in basically in Kay's direction.
Yeah.
And so then once suspicion is now firmly on Kay, Kay says, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah.
She starts to get a little like defensive. Sam says to her, Kay, is this true? Do you know anything? Do you know any more? Because I think Zombie, no, I know for a fact it's in my notes. Zombie says, I think Kay might know what's going on. Like, Kay might be the key to this whole investigation. That's what she says. Kay's the key. And so Sam is like, is that true, Kay? What do you know? Are you the key to do you know something that you're not telling us about this fire? Kay says, no, I already told you everything that I know. I didn't set the fire.
Yeah.
And Charity's like, oh, did y'all think that I was saying that Kay did something? No, Kay didn't do any. I don't think Kay did anything. I just think Kay might know some jealous girls. She's so popular at school, which we know is not true. Because I don't know if y'all remember, but years ago, when they were planning the prom, do y'all remember the prom committee? They were planning the prom, and everybody like was so mean to Kay, which I mean she deserved it. She was being real shitty, but like she's not popular. Nobody likes her.
Yeah.
So whatever. They're gonna keep doing an investigation to see who burnt down,
Yeah.
as they should. They should. Like that's so fucked up. Like Pilar deserves to know.
Yeah.
Or at least she at least deserves an investigation, a real investigation, not just you coming to your home and asking your daughter if she's seen anything, and when she says no, say case closed. That's bullshit.
Yeah. So, there's several things that happened that we kind of skipped over because we're about to go into the next little bit of magic. But one, Grace did tell both Charity and Kay that she caught them molesting Miguel.
Oh yeah.
To which Kay's like, we were not molesting Miguel, okay? Oh god, what was the other one? Notes. Oh, we get a random at some point in these episodes. We get a random little moment with Pilar lighting a candle, praying for Miguel. It was just a
for
random.
Real? I missed that entirely.
It was. I don't understand why that. It was so weird. No, you might have blinked, but it was just a weird moment where they just jumped out of nowhere, and I was like, maybe they were like, we haven't given Eva much to do, like, and she just lights a candle, and in my head, I was like, you know what, I might not want to light a candle, considering my house burnt down.
Yeah.
But Pilar was praying for Miguel. That's where that magic wraps up, and then we get some Tabitha and Timmy this week.
Yeah, let's talk about it. Tabitha and Timmy, tell the folks.
They're having some martinis, so we're back to normal for them, as much normal as normal can be. And of course, whenever they're just getting to chillax, it's gonna get ruined, and a magical scroll comes flying. And when Tabitha grabs it, it reminds her that we're going to be seeing. They show us a on the floor dead Timmy, and I gotta say, this is really hard to watch for me.
Okay.
It is. I remember at the time watching it and just being like, "Oh, what's gonna happen with Timmy? Like, what's gonna happen?" But when we're watching it and we know where we're going and we know the reality of Josh Ryan Evans, it's really hard to.
Yeah.
It's hard to watch because also Timmy doesn't. Tabitha's keeping this from Timmy. She knows that this is not. She doesn't want to show Timmy what's happening. But Juliet Mills's acting is so good in like the dread of like because he wanted to become human, now he's vulnerable. It's layered on that we know the reality of the situation, and it just is so hard for me to watch.
Yeah, I agree.
It's heartbreaking.
It was very heartbreaking. The second I saw it, I was like, "Oh God, here we go!" Like, And the thing is, like you
First
said,
viewing, it's
it
just like, what's
you
gonna
don't think
happen?
anything of it, because it is a fantasy show, right? Like
Yeah,
it's fiction, it's not real, it's not, it's like, oh, and you, whenever somebody dies in soap operas, oftentimes
they,
they come
yeah.
back,
I
right?
mean, Julian is dead right now.
Right. And so it's like you see something like that and you don't think of it as
Mhm.
gravely as maybe you would in other shows.
Yeah.
But because like you said, we know the reality of what actually happened, it's tough. It's tough, especially considering how impactful. I mean, I don't want to like I don't want to project on anybody else, but like Passions was a big part of my like
Me too.
upbringing. It was a big part of like w- things that I enjoyed, and when he passed away, I was really hurt and really upset,
Yeah.
and it kind of puts me back. I shocked. I think I
Yeah.
was extremely shocked because that was really the first celebrity death that really impacted me, I think,
Hmm.
because when you're a kid, all the celebrities that are dying is like, I don't what
Yeah.
the fuck do I care about Frank Sinatra?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I didn't care about Frank Sinatra until I was like a teenager when I was like learning about that kind of music. So
Yeah.
but
And,
when he died, I didn't care, and so there's a lot of celebrities who passed away in my childhood that is like, oh, okay,
yeah.
whatever. But I actually felt connected to that character. I knew that actor. I knew
Yeah.
that character. I knew I had been impacted by it. I had been
Yeah.
impacted by his work, and so
Yeah.
yeah, it's tough to. And I'm glad that we are able to kind of talk about him and talk about the impact that he did have.
Yes, because and we'll get there when we get there, but it's just I just needed to say like, man, like it was tough to see these little images of him like that. And especially because we're still getting funny bits, right? So
Yeah.
Tabitha the next morning is making breakfast for Timmy. And apparently she was probably always using her powers, so she never really had to cook. And so she's not cooking very well. I think the cookbook said something humorous. I could not see
I
because of
couldn't see
the
it.
detail. I, it looked
But it was
like,
like it was all healthy food.
yeah,
She's trying to make him a healthy breakfast so he stays
yes,
alive.
which is so cute. It's
Yeah,
just so
it was
cute. But
great.
yeah, what's happening actually is that Tabitha's not a very good cook, and so it's very bad. And Timmy tries it, and he ends up kind of like choking on it. And so Tabitha wisely is like, you know what? The Bennetts, Grace is always making some shit. We can go over there and mooch a meal off of the Bennetts, which I thought
Yep.
was hysterical. So, and Timmy's like, good. Now I can keep an eye on Zombie Charity. They have this fight about this again. Tabitha's like, stop messing with Zombie. Like, you need to leave her alone. Stop caring about Charity. Like, we just need to let that thing do its thing and try not to mess with her.
Hmm.
Um, because she knows that maybe there's imminent danger somewhere for Timmy, and so she doesn't know where it's coming from.
Yeah.
Uh, while they're at the Bennett's, Miguel and Charity are flirting like eating strawberries seductively. Again, I don't know how you don't put a stop to that. Grace is right there. And well, at some point she does show up because she feeds Timmy.
Yeah.
Timmy is eating like crazy, which I have questions about whether Timmy ever ate before. I mean, he
Right. I'm
drank
so confused because
martinis.
why? Well, why is it? He's like tasting the strawberries, like these are amazing, and then he tastes the juice. And he's like, this is incredible. And Sam and Grace both are like, have you never had strawberries and juice before? He's like, not like this, I guess. And then
And
so is
Tabitha
it
was
that?
funny. Tabitha said that Timmy's parents were those like wheat tofu type people, which was funny to like just kind of make up a reason. But yes, that means so Timmy's can taste more Timmy's, but never had food as a doll.
Okay,
I'm pretty sure we've seen him eat before.
here's what I'm thinking. Here's what I believe,
Passion's
or but this
logic.
is my head canon.
Yeah,
When Timmy was a doll, he could taste, but it was dull. It wasn't.
maybe.
He
Yeah,
didn't taste the same way a human does. He could
yeah,
feel the sensations, but he didn't eat the same way. Because he didn't need to eat. He didn't need to drink
yeah,
things, right? But when you're a human, think about the thing. I think
yeah,
about it this way, I guess. You know how when you're really hungry and you finally get to eat anything, it doesn't matter
yeah,
what it is, it tastes so good because you're just like,
yeah,
oh my God, I was so hungry and it tastes so much better. I think he was probably hungry
yeah,
and the food just tasted amazing. But I also think that he's never tasted anything as a human.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
alivened. Yeah, that
He's
makes sense.
alive. His senses are
Yeah,
alive. Yeah.
yeah, that makes
So
sense.
that's what I'm gonna
I
go with.
was
But I agree that it
good.
is kind of a plot hole.
It was a
Like,
weird little thing that they tried to do.
yeah.
Tabitha is looking at zombie Charity while Timmy's eating, and she's like, oh, maybe I can ask a favor. Basically, she separates Charity and Miguel, and I laughed really hard at this line delivery because Tabitha interrupts and she's like, "Why are you messing with me? I'm trying to bed Miguel," and she basically she just like firmly just goes, Miguel is hot.
Yeah.
And it was just like a weird declarative statement that was followed by Tabitha being like, oh, no doubt you'll be in a sizzling moment a little later, but I do have a favor. She basically is like, are you hearing my
I
notifications?
am. I don't
I'm
know
so
what.
sorry.
It's okay.
Work computer. Um, Tabitha basically is like, hey, listen, you have my powers. I need a favor. Could you just cast one simple little spell to keep Timmy alive? And it's like as she says, it takes a fraction of your power because I know them; they're my powers. She's like, it'll take a fraction of that, and Charity had already said this prior to Tabitha's arrival that there's too many people that know about who she is. She's talking about Kay, and she's talking about Tabitha and Timmy, and she's like, you know what? I need to just eliminate them. They
Yep.
need to die. And so she had already done that. So when Tabitha asks for that, she's met with a big no. And Zombie Charity's like, no, because I don't want him to stay alive. I'm going to kill him.
Exactly.
And so that's where magic
That's
wraps
where
up.
magic ends. That's where it ends. All right. So now let's go on over to our fated couples, Chad and Whitney, Theresa and Ethan. We're gonna talk about Chad and Whitney really, really quickly. Like,
Yeah.
I really want to blast through this because
Yeah.
it's very stupid.
Yeah.
So after the whole rigmarole at the Pilar's house,
Mm-hmm.
the Lopez Fitzgerald home, Chad pulls up to the Russell home in his bright red Pontiac Grand Am. Okay, he's got a new car, I guess. I didn't know he had a car. It doesn't matter. Whatever.
Yeah.
He pulls up in his car, his bright red car, and it's the middle of the night. He pulls up. He's not playing any music when he gets there. He pulls up, parks his car, puts in a tape, turns up the music. Why are you trying to die?
Yeah.
Like, what is he doing?
Yeah.
Does he have a death wish? What are you doing? Like, truthfully, let me be clear. If somebody pulled up outside of my house in the middle of the night and just like started blasting music, I would be very, very upset.
Yeah.
Right? Whether I liked them or not, I would just be like, "What the? Who are you out of your mind?"
Yeah.
So yeah, he starts playing music, and he's sitting there, and then Whitney walks past his car and tells him to turn the music down because she's coming back from Theresa, and we'll talk about what's going on with Theresa, but she's coming back from having had her daily her daily come to Jesus meeting with Theresa. Um and she tells him to turn down the music, and he asks her to get in the car so that they can talk. So she says, okay. She gets in the car and she says, well, I'm only doing this so that you'll turn down the music and so my dad won't come out here and murder you. And Chad then asks her what she thinks of the song that's playing on the radio. And she says, oh, it's pretty nice. He's like, well, I wrote this song for you and I really want you to sing it. Of course she declines. She's like, no, I'm not going to do that. Before they can really get into a conversation, TC, of course, sees them out front. I should note that Chad thought wrongly that Eve and TC had gone to bed because he had seen the light in their bedroom go out.
Yeah.
But that's not what had happened. They were still up. TC sees them out the window. Actually, Eve sees them out the window first and doesn't say anything. Tries to kind of keep TC away from the window, but he, of course, eventually sees them out there. Because remember, Eve now knows that Chad was not the person who drugged Whitney definitively.
And I have things to say when we get there.
Yeah. So we're basically there. TC runs out, opens the car door, yanks Chad out of the car, punches him down to the ground. He just like attacks him. Chad gets up, he's like ready to fight, but then Eve pulls TC back, and TC's like, "What? I told you not to come near my daughters. What are you doing here? You're just trying to drug my daughter again." And Eve says, "We don't know that it was Chad that drugged Whitney." Okay. All right, Eve.
Yes.
Cool.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Good.
TC kind of sobers up and says, "Wait a minute. I thought we were on the same page about this. What do you mean? Do you know something that I don't know? Did you learn some
Yeah.
new information?" And this is the moment where she says, "Well, I mean, no, I didn't. I'm just saying we don't know. It could have been anybody." He's like, "Well, who else could it have been? It was him or one of his street friends." Yeah. So
TC is a menace. I will say I understand that Chad should not be there. I mean, he shouldn't be there. But to just deck somebody, and I would have already filed charges, and I know no one would do anything because Sam's the chief of police. They would have gone to ask Kay if she saw anything first.
Case closed.
Case closed. Kay didn't see nothing.
Kay didn't see anything. That is the metric in this town.
TC's cleared of all charges. But it pieces. I wrote down Chad kick his ass. I mean, what do you have to lose at this point? I know he lands some punches every once in a while. I wanted him to just deck him one time.
I think there's a couple of things here that I think. Number one, as far as like not pressing charges against TC, I think that he knows that Whitney would hate that.
It would not
Like
help.
it wouldn't help him
Whitney.
Whitney at all.
Yeah.
And I think he also knows that punching him would not necessarily help him with Whitney at all. I also think that the writers are doing like this MLK perfect Negro thing with him, like the perfect patient Negro with Chad now. Because at first it's like they've gone too far in that direction. Because at first they had gone too far and like he was so angry and he was just like so volatile constantly. And so they had gone too far in the like angry black man direction. And now I feel like they've gone a little too far in the pacifist direction. I agree. The reaction is not what it needs to be. Yeah. But also Chad is kind of in the wrong.
I did preface that. It's just like Chad should not have been there doing that. I mean, like Whitney says you have a death wish. Like, why are you doing this?
Yeah.
With all that said, I'm very happy that Eve is like, we don't know that it's Chad. But it infuriates me that she knows it's not Chad.
Yeah.
And I know why she can't say anything. But there is a way to solve this. Mm-hmm. She can say, we know Chad now. We've known Chad all this time. And he's never done anything to let us believe that he would do this.
I agree.
He saved my life we've already heard this before. I can pull back one of those speeches and give it to Eve and she can say it right here. But she doesn't because it could implicate that she knows why Whitney got drugged because Ivy did it. We get flashbacks of Ivy admitting that. But it just really is upsetting because it's like you could go a little further to just clear Chad's name.
Yeah, I think.
But she doesn't want Chad with Whitney. I mean, that's the bottom line.
That's the next part. So she leaves it things ambiguous as in regards to like the drugging, right? And I agree with you. I feel like all she has to do is say, I don't believe that that's what happened. Like upon reflection, I thought about it. And because of XYZ reason, because of this bullet he took and this other bullet he took, I just don't believe it. And he does
Grace
seem
has
to really
said this
care
to
for
her.
Whitney. Yeah. And
Grace said it to her a while back. Was just like, I really don't think Chad's like this.
Yeah, and she doesn't.
No. Yeah.
She could at least stand up for Chad. Like I understand her not blowing up her entire spot and being like, well, Ivy drugged. Actually, I don't understand her not doing that. Like, girl, just give up Ivy. But whatever, we're not doing that. So I do understand her. Not blowing up her spot entirely, but she could have stood up for Chad at least. Mm-hmm. However, as soon as because she's like softened towards Chad at this point,
Yes.
right? Because she knows for a fact that he did not drug Whitney. So she says to him, Chad, what are you even doing here?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, Chad makes the mortal mistake of saying,
Music.
yeah.
Bum
Dun,
bum bum.
dun. Do I have that? Do I have one of those? I don't know. I don't think so. No. I wish I did. I don't think
Push
I
the
did.
sedative button. That's fine.
Push it.
Give her something to quiet your nerves.
I thought I had like a dun dun dun, but maybe I don't.
The sedative one is perfect.
It's so funny.
She does need something to quiet her nerves because Chad mentions I have a song that I wrote for Whitney and I wanted her to hear it. Big mistake.
Huge.
Worse, huge. Yes.
Big mistake. Huge. Yeah, he's like, I got a song I wrote for Whitney. I want her to sing it. And she flips out. Whitney's not going to go do anything with music. Oh my gosh. She says, and I mean, I've made this point a couple of times on the show. As a musician, it's very like frustrating for me to listen to how she talks about musicians because it's crazy. Like it's nonsense. But she gets set off. She says, you know, you need to stay away from Chad because hanging out with musicians will only bring you pain and heartache. And then, but here's my issue.
Julian is the yes.
Julian was not a musician. Julian was just a rich boy who liked music. That's it. Yeah, you were the musician.
Yeah.
Okay, so she says you need to stay away from musicians that only bring you heartache and pain. And then Whitney says to her, good for Whitney. Whitney says, Mom, will you just tell me why you're so stuck on me avoiding music? Yeah. And Eve gives her the same old tired line. It's a bad world with drugs and alcohol and casual sex. It's like, yeah, well, welcome to the world. That's just the world.
And again, focus on tennis. I need you to focus on tennis. Please. Don't focus on Chad's balls. Focus on fuzzy balls. That's what she said.
Oh, please. They don't care about tennis. They bring it up as a convenient excuse every single time.
Focus on what I want you to focus on.
Yeah. So at this point, TC once again warns Chad to stay away from his daughters. And Chad's like, okay, I'm going for a walk. And he kind of gives Whitney the signal, like, I'm going for a walk, right? I guess to let her know that he's going for a walk and maybe he wants her to join him. Because, like, why wouldn't you get in your car and leave?
Drive away.
Yeah, he leaves his car there and walks away. And that's where we leave it with them this week.
Where's Chad living?
At the bed and breakfast.
Oh, okay. Didn't know that. Thank you.
Grace, when they found him in Whitney's room, Grace offered to let him stay at the B&B.
Got it.
Yeah.
So Jessica's doing David's laundry, Chad's laundry.
Yeah, I wonder about that studio now, though. Maybe he might.
That's what I think. He doesn't he move in there at some point?
Yeah, he might have moved into the studio. Because I do, but if I remember correctly, he does live there.
I think he lives there at some point. Yeah.
So at least that's good that he does have a place to stay there now.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Theresa. How do you solve a problem like Theresa? How do you solve a problem like Theresa Lopez Fitzgerald? I don't know. This is my boo, though. I love this crazy girl. I love this girl down, but I wish she would see the light. But she's a child, basically. She's 18, 19 years old. Like she thinks she saw made a real deal with the devil, even though she didn't. So let's talk about what's going on with Theresa. Teresa has a nightmare. And we saw this at the end of last week where Theresa has this nightmare. Remember, she's at the mansion sleeping in Ivy's bed. Yeah. And she has a nightmare of giving birth to a demon Julian baby. Like at first it's a demon head, then it's got Julian's head. And she wakes up, she screams out for Whitney. And when Whitney gets there, she tells Whitney that her water broke. She's like, my water broke. I'm in labor. And Whitney's like, it's too soon. I have to call my
Yeah.
mom. And Teresa's like, no, you have to deliver the baby.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's so weird. And then we realize that Teresa's just hysterical. Like she is like halfway between dreaming and being awake, and like, and then Whitney kind of calms her down because Theresa thinks that she's having a demon baby, and Whitney tries to tell her, you know, you're gonna have a perfectly normal, beautiful baby, and Theresa goes, "What if I really am pregnant with a demon baby? What if you are?"
Yeah.
That would suck, girl.
Yeah.
So Whitney tells Theresa, you know, oh yes, I was right. Whitney tells Theresa, you were just having a bad dream, and bad dreams are a part of pregnancy. Like my mom told me this really horrible dream she had when she was pregnant with me, where she was holding me, and I just got smaller and smaller and smaller until I just disappeared into dust, and I didn't exist anymore. Which is,
and then I was like, is
I
that?
do think that was an interesting little tidbit that they put in about
I was like, is that Chad that she's dreaming
right,
about?
of course she's dreaming about losing her baby, right? Like
Yeah.
she's pregnant again
Yeah.
after having such a traumatic experience and losing her baby.
Yeah.
Of course she's having vivid pregnancy dreams about losing her baby, which is, you know,
Yeah.
devastating and sad. But Whitney says, and yeah, now she laughs about it, you know, because she says something about she used to worry about me disappearing when I was a baby. And she's like, but that's a normal part of pregnancy. And then she tells Theresa, you know, maybe you should leave this place. Maybe we should leave the mansion. Like, you shouldn't be here. It's bad for the baby. It's stressful. Theresa says, no, I'm staying here for my baby. This is what my baby needs.
Mm-hmm.
Which, listen, on the one hand, I totally understand where Whitney is coming from, saying like, girl, this is a stressful situation. It's not good for your baby. On the other hand, Teresa's house is burnt down. Like, where is she supposed to go? But I mean, I guess back to Whitney's house and sleep on the floor at Whitney's, and you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
or on the couch, I guess. But if you feel like you have access to a mansion, why not sleep in it?
Theresa,
especially after we learn what Theresa does. So
yeah, get your money.
yeah. So Whitney tries to convince Theresa to leave the mansion. Theresa says, nope, I'm staying here. This is where I belong, and my baby deserves nothing but the best, and this is where I belong. So Whitney leaves, and Theresa waits up at the mansion for Ethan, because while Theresa has said out of her mouth to Whitney that she's there for her baby, she's there for Ethan.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, of course. The only reason she's at the mansion right now is because when she was at the hospital, she overheard Ethan telling Gwen, why don't you stay at the mansion tonight? And so she decided she needed to be in the mansion too.
Yeah, and let us not forget that in terms of motivation and what's driving a character, we just had last week Theresa having a big disconnect with the baby, the demon dream, you know, her referring to it as an it. So we're playing around with this idea, like, does Theresa care about the baby or not? Because she's indifferent right now. She doesn't know how she feels. So we as audience people don't know how she feels about the baby either.
I think she's still disconnected from the baby. I think she's using it as an excuse.
Yes, me too.
And
it's
I do
about
believe,
Ethan, like you said.
I do believe that here's what I think. I think on a mental level, on you know, on a what's the word? Analytical, I guess, level. She is thinking about her baby. I do. I do think on my baby needs money.
Like, I gotta take care of it.
I have to take care of this baby.
Yeah.
I think on an emotional level, she's not there yet. I don't think emotionally she's connected to the baby yet.
And the demon thing is twofold. Whether the writers did this on purpose or not, it's one, this is a baby that I did not want, with a man that I did not want and did not permit to do this.
Yeah.
And two, because of zombie Charity putting on the guise of Julian in hell, she really does equate the baby as a demon baby because Julian is in hell. And so it's twofold for her.
Yeah. So she's waiting up for Ethan, because he's the real reason she's there. She, of course, we get several Theresa fantasies. I
Yes.
love a Theresa fantasy. I love a Theresa fantasy. She fantasizes about her and Ethan getting back together and making love in Ivy's bed, like, which is
Yeah.
so weird. How weird would it be to like have sex in your mom's bed?
Well, and that's I did think about this. Like I'm shocked that Teresa's just like comfortable sleeping in that bed.
I
Um,
know, right? Ugh.
it's just weird to me. But uh, we get that does come around. But we get Rebecca and Ivy showing up to the mansion.
Well, that's what comes
Yeah,
next. Yeah.
yeah,
So Ethan comes back to the mansion with Ivy and Rebecca, right? And they can't get in. The door is locked, which is unusual. They're like, no, I didn't lock the door. Did you lock the door? And they were like, no, I didn't lock the door. And Ivy says, well, here's my key. Ethan tries the key doesn't work. And she's like, huh, that's crazy. I don't know. Ethan walks around the back to check the French doors, and Ivy and Rebecca start like just ringing the doorbell, banging on the door, yelling for a servant to wake up. Ivy's like, this is ridiculous. Wake up, someone. I can't even get into my own home. What do I pay you all for? It's like, you don't pay them.
yeah,
But again, we're gonna get to that.
yeah.
Um, so she's ringing, trying to get in the door. Then Theresa opens the door. Much to their surprise and dismay, Theresa opens up and she says, oh, I'm trying to sleep.
Yeah.
What are you two doing?
What is? Can you all please stop all this racket? I am pregnant and trying to rest.
Yes. And then she explains to them that she had the locks changed. I said, oh, that's a smart girl. I can get down with it. I
Yeah,
love it.
I get your money. It's she does have a claim to this. She does have a
does.
claim.
She does. She said, and you know what? It's the guts that it takes to go up against somebody like Ivy fucking Crane and
Yeah.
Rebecca Hotchkiss. Like, it's the absolute guts and gall you must have, and naivete to an extent, right?
Yeah.
I was telling somebody recently about how there's a lot of stuff that I did when I was younger that I simply did because I did not know any better. And
Yeah.
thinking back on doing those things, like, there's stuff I would be terrified to do now. Terrified, because I actually know what the consequences are. Like,
Yeah.
but Theresa, she hasn't really gotten a good taste of the consequences yet. She doesn't know what these two women are capable of. To Pilar's credit, she's been trying to tell her over and over again. You don't know what they're capable of. But
Yeah.
I love Teresa's guts in these moments. I do. I love it.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, she says, "Don't make me sick the dogs on you."
yes, I loved it. I loved it. She said,
She has a great line. Yeah.
yeah, go ahead. Say
Oh,
it.
I was gonna say, they at this point, they're peeping through the mail slot. They're knocking and clawing at the door. To which she says, "You can break your hooves and claws all you want to. You're not getting in."
Yeah, because by this point, she's closed the door in their faces, right? So
Yeah.
she says, "Remember how you threw me out of here? Now it's your turn,
Yeah.
and get out of here before I stick the dogs on you." And then they're banging on the windows, banging on the doors, banging on the street lights. You remember that from Doug?
Just banging on a trash can, drumming on a street light. Big. You gotta think big.
Yes, thank you. Okay, so you know what the other song I think about when I think about Doug? What was the one? That was like, Killer, yes,
Killer tofu.
E-I-E.
E-I-E-O-E-U.
Killer tofu. Yeah.
I need more allowance, yodelay. I need more allowance, yodelay.
Yes. Oh,
I love Doug.
I used to love Doug too. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. They're banging. They're banging on the not on the street lights. They're banging on the door. And she won't let them back in, right?
Yeah.
Then where Gwen and Ethan arrive. That's okay. So Gwen arrives at the back door.
Yeah.
She doesn't go to the front. She goes to and meets Ethan at the back door. And Theresa inside starts screaming, "Oh my God, there's an intruder!" And then Phyllis, my new favorite side character, Phyllis, who is this maid that y'all will recall last week. Theresa kind of brought her over to her side by telling her, if you side with me, as the new Mrs. Crane, I will give you a raise and I'll give you benefits on this job, right? And so Phyllis is like, yeah, fuck yeah.
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 Fuck the Crane, she said.
Yes.
She's like, I'm on team. She is team Theresa Lopez's girl.
Phyllis comes running out here when she hears Theresa screaming that there's an intruder. She says, "Don't worry, Mrs. Crane, I've got something for this." She runs, she goes, comes back with a giant shotgun and has it
Elmer Fudd-like shotgun.
Yes, huge. Has it trained on the door, waiting for it. And she knows that it's Ivy and Rebecca.
Yeah.
She's like, yeah, I'm gonna fucking shoot him.
And she don't care. We're led to believe that there is an intruder. Then she finds out it's Ivy and Rebecca, and she's like, yeah, move away, open the door so I can get this done.
She's like, yeah, I'm gonna shoot them if they come in. And Theresa is like, no. Teresa's mortified, right? Like she was not expecting. She's like, no, I just wanted you to call the police. Yeah. And so she's trying to get the gun away from Phyllis, right? At the exact same time, Ivy and Rebecca and Ethan and Gwen managed to make their way into the mansion from opposite directions. And once they get inside, Ethan kind of comes around and is somewhat in line of the gun, and the gun goes off. And again, it's just chaos.
Yeah, what happened is Theresa manages to pull away the shotgun from Phyllis. When they open the doors and they come in, it looks like Theresa is going to be the one to do the shooting.
Right, yeah.
Ethan then is like, I wrote down, Ethan is a fucking idiot. That's what I wrote down. Because Ethan grabs the gun and it goes off. It's like, how stupid can you be?
Yeah.
And then, even Theresa at one point when she was reaching for the gun, I'm like, why are you grabbing the barrel? Like, just stand behind talk to her. Yeah.
And so the gun goes off. Ethan collapses. Everybody thinks he's been shot. Oh my God. Yeah. Ivy's like, you're going to jail, Theresa. I'm going to make sure you rot under the jail. Da, da, da. It's like, girl, call an ambulance if you think your son's been shot. So Ethan has not been shot, of course. He's just disoriented. He gets up and he's like, what's going on? Ivy blames Theresa, but Phyllis very quickly. I was so glad that we didn't drag this on, because I was like, I was worried about this. Are we about to do something? So a whole rigmarole around accusing Theresa of trying to kill them. Like, but Phyllis very quickly clears it up.
But the thing that it upsets me because Ivy doesn't say anything into that. She's just like, okay, still hate Theresa. So she still
insists on having Theresa arrested after that. Yeah. She's like, I'm going to have you arrested. And she grabs the phone to call the police. And Phyllis is a ride or die. Phyllis takes the phone from her and goes and hides behind Theresa. And then Ivy's like, you give that back to me or I'll have you fired. And Theresa says, you can't fire my maid, Ivy.
Employers, take a note. Look at the loyalty you get when you promise to pay people equitable wages and insurance, and you got their back.
All it takes is a loyalty. You get some real loyalty like that.
Phyllis said, "I will kill them. Open the door. I got you.
I will kill for you."
Yeah, and Teresa's like, no, but you'll go to jail, and the raise that I promised you and your benefits, they don't help you in jail. She's like, oh, okay, cool.
This lady has not even seen these benefits. She's ready to kill. It's crazy. That's crazy. Like, you haven't seen a paycheck. You haven't seen an insurance card. Nothing. Nothing.
This lady literally just walked in the house and is like, I'm the new Mrs. Crane. Got you.
Like,
cool.
Okay. Okay. And so then Ethan puts a stop to all the chaos. He puts his foot down and he's the man, and he's like, I'm in charge here. And then the Russells show up for 3 minutes.
Yeah. Because Whitney had told them that Theresa was trying to stay at the mansion. And again, this is where we talked about like the village.
Mm,
If Eve felt it was important for them to go all the way over there, she gives a couple digs at Ivy about like, why would you even want to stay here? Theresa, come stay with us, and you don't have to be here and all this mess. This stress is not good for the baby. All of that stuff. Teresa's like, nah, I'm good. I'm gonna stay here.
yeah. Theresa refuses. She then has another fantasy
Yes.
that was so sweet. Sweet, sweet fantasy, baby. She has a fantasy. And
With a
it's
tiara.
it's yeah, they're getting crazier and crazier.
Yes.
She has this fantasy of her and Ethan like making out
Mhm.
basically, and Rebecca is their servant. And then Pilar comes in and she's wearing a mink coat and she has a whip and she's like
Pal-
whipping at Rebecca.
Pilar looked hot
Mhm.
as fuck.
Yeah.
They finally dolled her up. Even when I mean, she always looks incredible. She's a beautiful woman,
Yeah.
no matter what situation. Put her in that maid's outfit, she still looks great.
Yeah.
But they got to glam her up, and I was living for it.
Agreed.
Rebecca has to go clean the restroom with a toothbrush. Pilar's like, "Don't make me whip you again, because of what you've said about my daughter." But yes, I was just grateful that they gave a something to do that was
Yeah.
fun and
Yeah.
showed her off.
Yeah. And so she comes in. Teresa's like, Mama, I have something for you. And she gives her she takes off her mink coat and gives her a chinchilla coat. She's like, Mink
Yeah,
is out, chinchilla is in.
yeah,
And Pilar's like, Oh, my Teresita, you are so good to me. And, she goes,
yeah.
flits off to whatever.
And it makes me
And
happy about Teresa that she, in her fantasy, is taking care of
yeah,
Pilar.
well, the thing is, yes,
Because she
Teresa
would.
wants Ethan and will do anything to get Ethan, right? Like
Yeah,
we know this about her. She's obsessed with Ethan.
yeah,
However, what we know about Teresa and her character is that she is extremely family oriented.
yes,
She
yeah,
does really really love her family,
yeah,
and it makes sense because of the family she's from. They're all
yeah,
like that,
yeah,
and very protective of their family. And so yes, it makes sense that she in her fantasy, that especially since it revolves around the Crane mansion, and so much of her identity is like wrapped up in being the housekeeper's daughter.
yeah,
So it makes sense that in her fantasy she would get rid of Pilar being a housekeeper,
yeah,
right? And she's no longer the housekeeper's daughter. In fact, my mama is like the queen of the castle basically,
yeah.
so it makes sense that that would be such a prominent part of her fantasy. The next part of her fantasy had me cackling. A nun walks in, and at first I was like, as I was typing, I didn't think anything of it. I was like, there's a nun here. Here's what I thought. I thought in her fantasy she actually had a demon baby, and she had to have a nun as a nanny to keep it under, like to keep it
Oh,
controlled.
that's funny.
Like that's what I thought. But
And
then,
because the episodes are pixelated, I can understand again why. Because I was like, is
yeah,
that?
I realized when she got closer, the nun is Gwen. Gwen
Because of the
comes in with
habit,
the
we could not,
baby.
yeah, you can't see
Yeah.
her hair or anything, so
Gwen comes in dressed as a nun, holding the baby, telling her, Teresa, the baby's ready to be fed. And Teresa's like, oh, thank you, sister. You can
yeah.
go back to your convent now.
Hmm. Like in this fantasy, how does Gwen become a nun? But that's what happened.
Because she won't, I mean,
Yeah.
anybody can do it.
She couldn't have Ethan, so she just said, you know
Yeah.
what? I'm gonna have Jesus.
Yeah, give me Jesus.
Yeah.
So then Ivy comes rolling in a manual wheelchair. Let's be
Yeah.
clear. They gave her an
Old
old,
wheelchair.
and she looked like they had her kind of made up like whatever happened to Baby Jane.
Yeah.
Joan
Betty
Crawford.
Davis. Yeah, Joan Crawford, yeah.
Yeah, in whatever happened to Baby Jane, just like, that shawl, that
Matron.
old wheelchair, the gray wig, and
Yeah.
she's sickly, coughing. And then Ethan throws her out.
Yeah. That's far fetched even for Teresa, but yeah.
He says, I can't remember what she said to him, but his answer to her was ever so popular "Frankly, My Dear, I Don't Give a Damn" from
Yes.
Gone with the Wind.
Yeah.
And so finally Theresa snaps out of her fantasy.
Yes.
And she demands, she says, "I'm not going anywhere." And Ethan has already agreed that she should be staying in the mansion too. He agrees. He thinks that she
She has
belongs
no
there.
house.
He says, at least for tonight. But he's like, yeah, she doesn't have anywhere. Where is she supposed to go? And she's
One night
pregnant.
only.
Oh, one night only. Okay, you know what? No.
Yeah. We'll keep going.
So anyway, she demands that she get one of the main rooms. She's like, I'm staying in Ivy's room. And Ivy's like, the fuck you are. And she says, well, if I'm not staying in your room, then I'm taking Rebecca's room. And Rebecca's like, no, the fuck you're not. And Ethan's like, luckily, Ethan said the magic words. He said, you can have the room next to mine.
And
she's like, oh, okay, I guess that'll work.
I mean, I don't know how I would sleep well in that mansion, knowing Rebecca and Ivy were there, like ready to murder me. You'd have to sleep with one eye open. I mean, like, I would not be But
I would definitely be locking my doors.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, and putting like
Speaking of locked doors.
Yeah. I'll have like a bell on the door. So like, you are not getting in here without me knowing.
Or I would tell Phyllis, tell one of the servants, one of the people, I want somebody outside my door. And
she needs
they
a
can
guard
switch out.
posted.
Yeah, heck yeah. Yeah. When they go up to the room, Theresa, Gwen goes up there and Gwen locks Theresa in, which I'm like, or they're adjoining rooms? Are they adjoined? Yeah.
I want to talk about
that. Weird to have I guess, man, I don't know.
Ethan, apparently the room that Ethan is staying in is an adjoined room to another bedroom, which I do agree is weird. I don't understand that. It's not a hotel. It's a mansion. Yeah. You would have a suite where you might have like a bedroom, a sitting area, and a bathroom.
Yeah.
But 2 bedrooms adjoining to one, like what? Whatever. That's what it is. And I've never seen this before. This is a new set. It's a new set.
Yeah.
New set alert. So yeah, he takes Theresa to her room and then walks through the adjoining door. Gwen follows behind him, pulls the door, locks it, makes sure that Theresa can't get in behind him. We then see that Theresa has keys to all of the rooms in the mansion, courtesy of Phyllis.
Yeah, Phyllis had got her the master key, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah. So let's talk about what is going on with Ivy and Rebecca. But actually, let's just very quickly say what it is. These 2 women are plotting to push Theresa down the stairs so there's no baby anymore.
Yeah. With the woman who was impregnated by a pig, we can get rid of the little piglet, is what they say. Yeah. And it's
really dark.
Yeah.
It's very dark.
Yeah.
So
it's like Ivy has just gone to new lows every week now.
She has no moral center.
Yeah. It's gone.
Rebecca doesn't either, but she has no moral center. And as much as they both are always saying like how much they do everything for their kids, like I'm just doing this for Gwen, or I'm just doing this for Ethan, because
that's about money.
That's what Rebecca says. Yeah. It is about money, but Rebecca says specifically that she wants to get rid of Theresa for Gwen's sake, and it's like, well, Gwen has already told you multiple times that she doesn't want anything to do with your scheming. So actually, you're not doing this for Gwen's sake. You're not. You're doing it for, like you said, the money, and just out of pure malice, malice, because that's a baby.
Yeah,
that is a baby. Like whatever you want to, we can. Because also, let's talk about it. Theresa is very pregnant now, all of a sudden. Last week, she was not as pregnant as she is.
No, we're starting to see the bump. Yeah.
It's a big bump. She's very pregnant.
Yeah.
I felt like as the episodes progressed, it got bigger.
Yeah, I do. It got noticeable.
Yeah, this week. So it's like at this point, she's very pregnant. That's a baby. Yeah. There's no getting around it, And you're talking about pushing her down the stairs so she miscarries. That's and possibly dies. Actually, that could kill her. They talk about how this very staircase is what took Grace's baby from her, and
again dark as well. Considering
dark.
Ivy's history with Grace,
she doesn't care.
Yeah,
she doesn't care.
Yeah, Pilar comes to talk with Theresa. That's just a fast conversation about you need to come. Why are you doing this? I don't want you here. It's not worth to me
Yeah,
recapping it, but
they go back and forth. They have the same conversation they've been having, and then Theresa tells her, I'm gonna have everything, right? Like that we
yeah,
can. This is, and Teresa has been trying to rationalize this to her mother by
yeah.
saying, "This is for the family. This is for my baby and for the family. This will be
And
what's best for us."
this is where we
And
get the mention of Paloma.
this is exactly. She says we could bring back Paloma, like she could come and live with us again. And Pilar says, because Teresa's saying like we could all live here in the mansion. Pilar says, I don't want to live in this house. I'm very happy with our family home. To which Teresa says, our family home is destroyed. Like you
Yeah,
can't live there right now. So you might as well live here. But Pilar is not interested in
yeah,
staying in this house. And I agree. Like she also, let's not forget, she works there.
yeah,
Like she has not quit her job. She has decided to continue working. And which makes sense. Like well, no, I don't know why I said it makes sense. It makes zero sense. I don't know why she still works at this house. I've been saying
yeah,
that for years at this point. I don't understand why she still works for Ivy, especially after what has transpired between Ivy and Teresa at this point.
yeah,
I don't get it. But Pilar still lives here, still works here. Do you think she want to live where she works too?
yeah,
No. No, I get that with Pilar. Like, no, I work here. I don't want to live here too. I
yeah.
want to live at my job. So
Uh,
I can all constantly be at their beck and
yeah.
call.
The other mother-daughter duo are having a conversation, and Rebecca and Gwen are talking, and Rebecca just says, "You were so much more fun before you developed a conscience. I hate this.
Yeah,
I
and it was
hate
it
this."
was funny because it almost feels like it was like you were so much more fun when you were blonde, when you were the other girl.
I think
You
Maria
know?
would agree. I think Maria would concur.
I think so too, because that is what it felt like. That Rebecca was like, yes, ever since you came in here and gave it this characterization, this no fun anymore.
I miss OG Gwen. That's
She's coming
funny.
back. She's on her way back. So yeah, all of these conversations are happening. Meanwhile, what's his name? Ethan, with his sharp legal mind, gets a phone call.
Who held a shotgun and almost died,
Yeah,
has figured
who stood at the looking down the barrel of a shotgun like, "Ooh, what is this? What are you doing?"
he has come up with some legal stuff that
Yeah,
he thinks he has a case that he could get Teresa and Julian's wedding in Bermuda ruled out by a
yeah,
judge.
saying that he found some. I found some loopholes in the Bermuda laws that could nullify the divorce. That's what it was.
Yeah, in the
He's saying
States.
that
Yeah.
that would nullify that Bermuda Quickie Island divorce that
Yeah.
Julian served Ivy with, and he's feeling pretty confident about it.
Yeah.
And Ivy, now, mind you, Ethan is telling her it might, right? He
Yeah.
keeps saying it. I
She
found
takes it
something that might.
as it is done.
She thinks she's like, it's a done deal. Okay, my son has figured it out, and Teresa's not going to get anything.
Yeah.
And Ethan says, well, we got to give Teresa something.
Yeah.
And Ivy is not having it. She's like, no, Teresa gets nothing. She'll die in a shack with her bastard baby. And Rebecca pulls Ivy to the side and speaks a little reason to her.
I was impressed here.
Yeah. Rebecca actually pulls her to the side and is like, what the fuck are you doing, girl? Like, if we can pay her to leave, we should pay her to leave.
Get her out. She's
Yeah.
like, she said, well, this is going to come on. There's dual conversations happening here because Ethan's getting Ivy to kind of figure that out about that. This is, it's so much easier if we just get her taken care of and we're good. Meanwhile, attorney Woody Woodrow Stumper has returned.
We love Woody.
He comes upstairs. He's talking to Pilar and Theresa, and I like that he calls Pilar Mrs. Lopez hyphen Fitzgerald. His energy's so good. It's
It
really
is.
it's fun when he gets here, but he's a little simmered down right now because he says your case is unwinnable, a loser, and he's like, I think we need to just give up,
Yeah, he says
which
we're
was
done.
not what he was saying weeks ago.
Well, he now knows that Ethan has found like these
Yes.
loopholes, basically, right?
Word around the street is Ethan has talked to who he needs to talk to get this thing over with.
Yeah. And so he comes to tell Theresa the bad news. But then just then, Ethan gets a phone call. I mean, sorry, Theresa gets a phone call from Ethan telling her to come downstairs. I want to talk to you
Yeah.
about, all of this. And downstairs, they have come to an agreement.
Yeah.
Ivy listens to Rebecca and agrees
Yeah.
to a settlement with Theresa. And the settlement, y'all, is $10 million plus like child support and something else.
And a trust.
Yeah, and a trust fund. Yeah,
So
$10
that
million
would be
for her.
Yeah, I did the conversion. That would be $17.5 million today. From
20.
2002 to now. Yeah, kudos to Rebecca. Rebecca was smart, and like she tells Ivy, this is a drop in the bucket because they confirm again that the cranes are worth billions upon billions of dollars. So this is nothing. And Rebecca's like, get her out, which again, during all of this, we keep having conversations, and both Ivy and Gwen are like, why are you helping, right? Like, why are this, you get nothing out of this. But Rebecca specifically is like, as long as I got skin in the game, I'm good. I need to get rid of that one first, and then I'll deal with Ivy later.
Exactly.
She doesn't really say that, but that's her MO. She's like, I mean, she's still living in the house.
Basically say that. She does basically say that to Gwen. She says, I need to focus on getting rid of Theresa first. Then I'll get back to Ivy.
It is impressive to me that is how powerful Theresa is, that Rebecca figures she's the bigger target first. That she can, and I guess, she knows Ivy more, but like longer.
I think there's a couple of things here. I think number one, Theresa is the more imminent threat.
Yes.
At the moment, Theresa is like,
especially with the baby. That's what they. Yeah.
Ivy tolerates Rebecca, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like Ivy could have kicked Rebecca out a long time ago.
It's all those years of being frenemies. They know each other so well, they can deal with each other.
Yeah, so
they can coexist.
Tolerates Rebecca.
Yeah.
Theresa does not tolerate Rebecca. So that's number one.
Yeah.
Number two is that, like you said, the baby is looming, right?
Yeah.
We got to get this figured out before that baby shows up.
Yeah.
Right. And I think too, she hates Theresa. She wants to get rid of Theresa first, right? Like, I want to get rid of Theresa first. And Ivy is I think she also thinks that Theresa is somewhat an easier target than Ivy. I think she knows that, or believes that that Theresa will be easier to unseat than Ivy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So she might as well get that done,
Mm-hmm.
cook that fish before she cooks the big fish, basically.
Yes.
I guess.
Yeah.
So anyway, they come downstairs. Ethan offers her the $10 million settlement. Woody says, I think you should take it. We should take this. This is a good deal. I think you should accept it. Theresa says, I'm sorry, I can't accept it. Saying she deserves the entire estate, everything.
Yeah.
Ivy actually is like thrilled to hear this. She's like, good. I didn't want you to have anything anyway. You get nothing. She says, you'll spend the rest of your life in a shack with Julian's bastard. No. And Ethan is like, why won't you take the money? He doesn't understand. He begs her to reconsider. He's like, what you don't know is that I found these loopholes in the Bermuda laws, and like my mother's divorce is almost 100% going to be overturned, which means that you will end up with nothing. Teresa's like, nope, she's standing firm. The only reason Teresa's standing firm on this is because she made that stupid plan with Devil Julian. Like, as I
Thank you
was
for
watching
saying
it, I
that
was
because
like, this is so
yeah,
stupid.
I would forget that that's really the reason why she's doing this because I think under any normal circumstance, she probably would have been like, this might be good. Well, I don't know. This is the lovable lunatic. She might have done this on her own without Devil
What
Julian.
what drives me crazy? Well, the thing is, the plan itself is not terrible. Saying that making claim to being Mrs. Julian Crane to get your fair share is a great plan. It is
Yeah.
it's actually the correct plan
Yeah.
line of sorry, I have not eaten
Train
anything
of thought.
today.
Yeah,
I'm
no, you're
so
good.
sorry.
Cor-
It's actually
correct
the correct
route.
line
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
thinking, right? And sh- so I think maybe she would have gotten there on her own without the devil plot. But the devil plot is taking everything, right?
Yeah.
And getting Ethan back. Like and I don't know if they haven't given us the specifics of the plan. So I wish
No.
what I really want to know is what is the specific part of the plan where she gets Ethan back? What's
Yeah.
the next step? I think later on she talks about what she is going to do, but I don't think that was ever part of the main plan.
No.
Because
Yeah.
later on she says, let's go on and we're gonna get
Yeah.
there. Let's skip to it basically. She basically tells Pilar, if I am Mrs. Crane and I take over the whole estate, I have the power to then make Ethan a Crane again, which is what I wanted to do in the first place when I got pregnant.
So she
Right?
feels
I
like
kind
she
of roll
yeah.
back the clock on that.
Yes, exactly. She feels like she can go back like that will fix everything.
Yeah. And I don't think it seemed to me that was a light bulb moment for her this week. So I don't think that was part of the devil plot.
No, that was not part of the original line of thinking.
So I don't understand what the devil plot is.
And the thing about it too is this is the route that got you in the situation in the first place. Was trying to get Ethan back to being a Crane, which again, it's just so funny to me because she never. If you don't care about the money, you didn't care. You just want to be with Ethan, but she thinks this is the only route. This is where she messed up, so this is where she needs to go in order to fix it.
Yeah.
If she had a DeLorean, this is where she would go.
Yeah.
But she just keeps mucking it up. So
if I could turn back time.
Down.
If I could find a way to make Ethan a Crane again. Yeah, no, that's what she's trying to do, and it's very annoying. She turns down this settlement. She says she's not going to take the settlement. She's going for the whole enchilada. Somebody said that at some point this week. I don't remember who it was.
Me neither.
but somebody said it.
You all, for the first time in a long time, we get fisted this week. Alistair shows up.
I didn't get fisted. I don't.
No.
I can't speak for you.
In case we were not figuring it out, that is my homage to the hand acting of one Alistair Crane, who has been watching everything on surveillance cameras, and he says, Theresa, which I was excited to hear his voice. You said it. What did you call him earlier today?
Big Daddy Crane.
Big Daddy Crane, finally. Where the hell has he been?
Where the hell has he been? So, okay, we skipped a little bit, but that's fine with me. I mean, it's okay. It's not a big deal. There is one thing we have to go back and talk about, which is that Gwen has a conversation with Ethan wherein she explains to him, she's like, I don't think Theresa's doing this for the money because he doesn't understand why she won't take the 10 million. And Gwen says, bless her heart, I don't know why she wants this dumb man. She's like, really? You don't know why she won't take the 10 million? Like, think about it, Ethan. It's because of you. She thinks that she can get back together with you, and this is her weird way of doing it. And
yes, this is huge. Thank you for going back. Yeah, because Gwen is correct. And she does make Ethan realize, oh yeah, I should probably talk to her about this because if this is true, she needs to get the money. I'm not an option.
Yeah. Meanwhile, while they're having that conversation, Theresa is having a very similar conversation with Pilar where she basically cops to, I'm not doing this for the money. I'm doing this for Ethan. This is all about Ethan.
Yeah.
And so then Ethan decides to go and talk to Theresa
Yes.
because he says to Gwen, he's like, why would she think this would work?
Yeah.
I've made it very clear that we're never getting back together. We are never, ever, ever getting back together. That's what he says anyway. So he goes back to talk to her to make it clear to her, I hope you're not doing this for me,
Yeah.
because you think that we will be able to get back together. You've lied to me too much. It's not going to happen, Theresa. It's never going to happen, basically. And Theresa is unswayed. He tells her we don't have a future together. He says, I need to move on with my life, and so do you. And when he leaves, Theresa remains steadfast in what she's like, no, I'm still gonna go through what this is. And it's like, girl, take the money. Take the money. Because here's my thing about this. It's not like Theresa wouldn't have other opportunities to try and get back together with Ethan. Like, you don't
Now she would
have
just have
to
some
be in the mansion.
assets.
Literally,
The baby would be taken care of. Yeah.
not only that, you have assets, but also literally your best friend, like, is basically, I know it's a little rocky right now, but in a relationship with Chad, like, they have a whole thing going on. You will see Ethan. You know where to find him. You know how to happen upon him. There's so many other ways that she could go about trying to get back together with Ethan other than this.
Yeah.
So many safer ways, but she's not going to do it. And it is what it is. She's standing firm. Pilar again tries to reason with her, and she's like, no, I'm going to get Ethan back, and I'm going to get everything he lost back as a Crane for him. And I'm going to give him back his identity as a Crane. And she says, I'm going for it all, and I will have it all. The Crane name, the Crane empire, everything I have ever wanted will be mine. And that's Alistair watching on those screens is like, I think it's time for me to get activated.
Yes.
He decides to activate. Crane powers activate.
Yep. Theresa. Little does Theresa know. I love the ways it was. I wooed. I was like, "Yay! Something's gonna happen."
When I saw him, I was like, "Finally, where the fuck have you been?" Because, let's be clear. This is not any of their house. This house doesn't belong to Ivy. This house doesn't belong to Rebecca. This house doesn't belong to Theresa. This house belongs to Alistair. It never belonged to Julian.
Yeah, he never made him the heir in the first. He took that away. I mean, like, it is.
It's the Crane estate. Alistair is the head of the Crane family. Everybody seems to have forgotten that.
Yeah.
It doesn't make
At one point, they did, Ivy or Rebecca, I think Ivy was like, I'm going to call Alistair. Like, a long time ago, but that went away so fast.
Well, what happened was, Rebecca said she was going to call Alistair. I think it was definitely Rebecca. And Ivy told her, you don't want to do that.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Ivy was like, let's try and keep him out of this.
Yeah.
It's like, let's try and keep him out of this.
I think the last time we heard from, if I'm not mistaken, the last time we heard from Alistair was when Julian got shot, and he was like, I need to speak with Julian. So it just confirmed that Alistair didn't know what happened to Julian.
Yeah,
I think that's the last time we heard from him.
I agree. I just want to make a point that for several years at this point, I've been saying Alistair has this house under surveillance, and I've been saying, how the fuck does he not know that, or did he not know that Ethan was not a Crane? And I feel like this proves what I've been saying, which is that he absolutely knew and decided to just like kind of go with it because he
was the more competent.
But once it came out, it was too embarrassing, right? Like optically it didn't work because he's no longer a blood Crane, so he can't spout off like this Crane supremacy kind of talking points about like how much better they are than other people if he's letting somebody who is not a blood relative of them run their empire, right? But
it made Julian look like a buffoon. It just made everybody look bad. So optics wise, it makes total sense.
I think he knew. All right, we're ready to wrap it up with Sheridan and Luis. There's not a ton here, but to be honest, y'all, let me tell you a couple of things. I definitely have some music for them, don't I? Time for Sheridan and Luis. Truthfully, I didn't hate this as much as I've been hating it.
And I did. I was going to start off this section by saying, do we have to?
Listen, we do have to. I will say somewhere in my
There
notes,
was stuff.
somewhere in my notes, I wrote the Passions writers were sick. I said they're sick for this. Like they're so sick that I would. The thing is, I already looked up when Sheridan and Luis get back together. Like because it was driving me crazy. And I was like, when they kept doing the whole like, will they, won't they, missing each other constantly. So last season at some point looked it up and found the exact time when the two of them finally truly meet face to face. So nothing they can do in this is gonna get me anymore, right? None of it's gonna get me. But what they did this week was extremely sick. I feel like a lot of the other times where it's just like missed connections.
You can see it a mile away. You can see it a mile away that it's fake.
And also like when they're like doing the magic kind of crossing dimension stuff, you can tell like this isn't gonna last. It's not real necessarily.
This is the closest. Yes.
If I was watching, God bless the Shawise fans. Y'all are God's strongest soldiers. I'm telling you. I'm telling you, because if I was watching this in real time back in the day, and I was really like cared about Sheridan and Luis, which I didn't back in the day, I wasn't like, I was really very much about Theresa, Ethan, Gwen, what's going on there. That was like my main storyline. So with Sheridan and Luis, it's like, okay, I didn't care that much until much later on.
Yeah.
If I was watching this back then and cared about it, I would have been pissed. My God, I would have been. Oh my God.
Yeah.
So let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Luis has found out.
This is fast. Yeah.
Yeah. Luis has found out that his brother is staying in the room next door. He goes over, knocks on the door. Antonio comes out, acts really weird and defensive. And it's just like, it's weird because Antonio is the brother who did the wrongdoing and yet is the one who's angry. And it's crazy to me. I hate it.
Just like I said, I hated Grace. I hate Brian. I hate Antonio. I hate them both the same.
Yeah.
They really pissed me off this week.
Yeah. He's like, since when did you start considering me your brother? And he's like, why don't you just stay out of my business and stay out of my life? It's like, I'm coming over here to try and reconcile with you a little bit, number one. Number two, you are the one that walked out on us. Like, you don't get to be mad at me. You don't get to be mad at me for being mad at you.
Now, I know the majority of the Lopez Fitzgeralds are not actually Latinos, but when I see him doing this shit, and when I see him being like, it's Brian, I hate it because I feel like he's denouncing his Latinidad, like what makes him, his Latinx heritage. He's denouncing all of that, and it really pisses me off.
It pissed Luis off, too. Luis was like, what's wrong with Antonio? What's wrong with going by Antonio? Because basically we are zooming this, but I want to be clear.
Or
at
Tony.
One point in that conversation, Tony.
Yeah. Tony has done it again. Yeah.
He in this little conversation that they have, Antonio explains to Luis that he doesn't go by Antonio anymore. He goes by Brian. Then Luis rightfully, understandably, just goes, huh? Why so? Why are you going by Antonio? Or why are you going by Brian instead of Antonio? What's wrong with Antonio? Yeah. And then Brian's like, ever the cop. What's with all the questions? I'm not even going to do this. If you're going to
Where the hell have you?
I'm not playing 21 questions with you. Da, da, da. It's like,
I got questions. I haven't seen you in years. I didn't let you talk last time. Now I'm asking you stuff.
Oh my God. And finally, they managed to kind of come to a amicable, somewhat place. Luis apologizes to Antonio for the way he treated him in Harmony at Christmas time, saying that, I just didn't want Pilar to get hurt again. Antonio again gets really defensive. It's like, I would never hurt Mama. Well, you did.
Yeah.
Well, you did.
Yeah.
You did. So what are you talking about? I would never hurt Mama. Yes, you would. You absolutely did. You've been hurting her for years.
Yeah.
Years. Every time she
Yeah.
walks past, every time she sees like the Our Lady of Guadalupe, I'm sure she thinks about you and it stings. Every time she has to light a candle for you, it fucking stings. She's hurting every single day of her life. You hurt your mama every single
Yeah.
day since you left. So don't give me that I would never hurt mama bullshit. But Luis didn't say that. Luis instead was trying to keep the peace. He's like, I know you love her. I know you wouldn't hurt her.
I'm
Whatever.
sorry. I just need to applaud you. I need to bow down to you because I'm going to screen record this and send it to my mom because she's just going to be so proud of you. You just, yeah, you just destroyed Antonio's
It's just
defense
nonsense.
of anything.
He sucks. He sucks.
Yeah.
And he's thoughtless and he's selfish and he's a horrible, horrible person, a horrible man. To treat his brother like this after years. And it's like, again, you were the wrong one. You were the person in the wrong. You know you were wrong.
Not to
You
mention
know
he
you were
continues
wrong.
to treat Sheridan awful as well. Like just treats Diana awful throughout all of this as well.
Yeah.
So it was he was just pissing me off left and right. These
I can't stand him. So
yeah.
Luis explains to him, I'm not here to fight with you. I don't want to lose my brother again. I just found you and I've lost so much,
Mhm.
And then Antonio again gets extremely defensive. Um when he's just so defensive.
Yeah.
He's so annoying. But finally they make a date for breakfast cuz at first they were going to like Luis wanted to, that's what it was. Luis wanted to come into his room and like chit chat, catch up, right? And he's like, well, I have a lady with me and I don't want to burden her with all of our family stuff, which, okay, fair enough, whatever. But
But Diana has been dying to meet this guy.
Exactly. And it feels like something in him knows, this Mr. Steal Your Girl. I don't know if I want my brother to see her. Right? And so they make a date for breakfast instead, right? And they plan to go have breakfast as a foursome, all four of them.
Yes.
Because remember, Beth is here too, y'all, just in case y'all forgot.
Yeah.
Beth's on the island.
Yeah.
So then they go back to their respective rooms, bring the ladies up to speed. Diana wants to take her to meet his brother. Oh yeah, Diana's like, I want to meet your brother right now, but he's like, no, you can meet him tomorrow at breakfast. Then a storm rolls in, which I thought was going to be significant, but was not at all.
No.
Did you notice that it started storming in Bermuda and in Harmony? I thought it was going to be I thought it was like, oh, this night's going to be crazy. Yeah. They didn't do shit with it. And so, a storm rolls in, nothing comes of it. I guess it's just like foreshadowing for things to come. The next morning, we wake up. Diana, of course, has like a flash memory of like her past.
Dead lover.
Frustrates her. Yeah, her dead lover. It frustrates her.
I wrote down, can we skip Shuiz, please? Please, the love of God. Stupid.
Listen,
stupid.
That's how I feel. That's how I feel most weeks, truthfully. And so then Beth and Luis wake up. They discuss going to breakfast with Brian. They go to get them, right? Go pick them up from the room. And Brian comes to the door, or Antonio, whatever you want to call him, comes to the door and is unreasonably combative and defensive with Luis again for no reason. Here's what happens. Luis knocks, knock, knock, knock. Brian comes to the door. Luis says, hey, brother, ready for breakfast? Luis says, well, my lady friend's not quite ready yet. You head downstairs. We'll meet you down there. Luis says, oh, well, we can wait. Like, if it's just a few minutes, we can wait for you. He's like, what? You trying to babysit me now? You're trying to babysit? Oh, my fucking God. Like, do you have a concussion? Are you okay?
Yeah. I hate Antonio.
Okay?
He's an ass. Do you have a thyroid problem that's sending your hormones out of balance and it's like making you crazy? What is wrong with him? He's horrible. And so Luis again, and they start to kind of fight, and Beth kind of pulls it back on Luis a little bit, and Luis brings it down. He's like, you know what? We'll wait for you downstairs. I'm happy that you said it. I want people to know that Luis is relenting on a lot of this stuff, which is incredible considering who Luis is. The fact that he is able to just go and take a breath and go, okay,
Here's what I don't know if the Passions writers meant to do this, but this is showing us the growth that Luis
Yeah.
made while he was with Sheridan.
Yes.
Right? I think that if Luis from when we started the show had this kind of same encounter with his brother at that point of who he
They'd gone to
was,
fists.
it would have gone very differently. But because of everything he had gone through with Sheridan and like the growth, because I don't know if y'all remember years ago on the podcast how Luis was a little bit unbearable. Like he had a lot of those kind of Antonio traits to be honest. But being with Sheridan, he had to fix his personality, you know, like being with Sheridan, he grew a lot from being with her. And I wonder if that is kind of what they're trying to show us between these two brothers, because they talk about how they're so much alike. Beth even mistook Antonio for Luis at one point. So they talk about how much they're so much alike, but Luis has grown and changed. It looks like Antonio hasn't, but now he has Sheridan and she's going to help him with that growth, right? Or maybe it's like, you know, maybe I'm thinking too much into it and nobody even thought.
No. This is not the same Luis we started with.
Yeah,
it's just not. Like, that's why, you know, it was so hard to see Sheridan fall back, like you've said before. They have changed. But Antonio's just an ass, and it's so hard to like. I always try and do the devil's advocate thing. I don't want to.
No. Fuck the devil. The devil sucks. I'm not going to advocate for the devil. Fuck that. No. He sucks. Yeah. There's no getting around it. And I do feel like typically I'm pretty good about being a little fair with the characters and like, to be fair, even with the ones I don't care for that much. I even do it with Gwen sometimes, right? This man will never ever get the benefit of the doubt from me. Yeah. He will never have me advocating for him. It's just, I don't like him and he deserves all bad things that come to him. He deserves all bad things that come his way. That's how I feel right now. I might be eating those words in a few years. I don't know. We'll see. But I don't think so. I think he continues to be extremely selfish, extremely combative, extremely just one-sided in every relationship he ever is in. Yeah. And only thinks about himself.
Yeah. It goes to this point, of aggravation. Luis and Beth finally go. He's like, you go, I'll wait for my girl to be ready, and then I'll go down there and eat with you all. And so Luis and Beth are waiting for them. They're about to go in there, and Sheridan, we have been getting hints of this. She's coughing. She's not feeling well. What does she right at the lobby? We're gonna see each other. Is it gonna happen? We're doing all the fake outs. So many fake outs. We're not doing this. But that last one is Sheridan has a fever. And now Brian is like, no, you cannot see my brother because you have a fever and you need to go upstairs.
Use the thermometer.
It wasn't health. It wasn't a health thing. Yeah.
He didn't even. Here's the thing. It's not like we don't know for a fact she has a fever. We know she's been coughing. We know she's a little sick. He just like grabs her hand and is like, you're burning up. I think he just doesn't want her to meet his brother.
I agree. There's no other excuse because all she does at one point just say, let me meet him. I'll go upstairs and I'll rest. I just want to see this person. Mm-hmm. Who is this person that he
refuses. And actually, one thing we also left out, when they get downstairs to go to breakfast, the maitre d' asks like, do you have a reservation? He's like, oh, it's under my brother's name. And the maitre d's like, oh, what's your brother's name? And he's like, oh, he like puts his hand over the podium or whatever and points at. He's like, that's my brother right there. It's like, just say his name. Just say his name.
They do the writers are infuriating.
It's so stupid. Like, that's one of the dumbest things. Because whatever, we're not because I want to be done with this. I hate this. So yes, he grabs her hand. He's like, "You're burning up. You have to go back up to the room. Let's go back. Let's both go back up to the room." He's like ready to turn around, stand his brother up entirely. He wasn't even about to go over there and say like, "Hey, we're not going to be able to do this." Nothing. He was going to go back to the room with Sheridan or with Diana.
Yeah.
She says, "Absolutely not. You need to go spend some time with your brother, and I'll go back to the room, but only if you stay down here." Like, the only reason he's even going to have this breakfast with his brother, whom he has wronged horribly, is because Diana has insisted that he do that. And so of course, she goes back upstairs. He comes and sits down and has breakfast with Beth and Luis. They don't have breakfast because Luis has decided that he wants to go get something from the room that he thinks will sway Antonio to come back to harmony. It's a picture of Pilar, Miguel, and Theresa. And when Diana goes back upstairs, she walks into the wrong room by accident, which I don't know how the fuck that happens, but they saying she have a fever, so maybe she's just like in a fog, whatever. She walks into the wrong room. She sees the picture of the family, Pilar, Theresa, and Miguel. She looks at it and she's like, "Huh, what a lovely family." And mind you, at first I thought it was just a picture in a picture frame. Y'all, it is a picture in a photo, like a flip photo album. Yeah. So just keep that in mind. Just keep that in your fucking head, because she looks at the picture, she's looking at it, she's like, "Huh, I just have a, strange connection. Oh, I feel like I know these people." And she's like, "Oh, well, let me get out of this room that's not mine." Goes back to her room, lays down, right? We see, and I'm just gonna be real with y'all. I'm not gonna do what Passions did. We see Luis walk into Sheridan's room by mistake. He sees Sheridan. He realizes, "Oh my God, it's Sheridan." She wakes up. She's like, "It's you." He says to her, "It's you, my love," which is how I absolutely
bullshit. Yep. No names.
Yeah,
no names.
They embrace. They have a whole thing. It's long, y'all.
It's long.
The entire episode.
It's so long that Beth and Antonio have time for Beth to do Passion's podcast and tells her everything that has happened in Harmony since he left.
Yep. She brings him up to speed on all the things. She did it a lot faster than I did it, but she brought him up to speed on absolutely everything. So of course he's pissed off about the whole thing that's going on with
Julian, and I'm happy Julian got murdered. How did you know he got murdered? We did that thing over there too.
Yeah. It's like, "Oh, it was the headline." It's like, yeah, of course it was. He's a billionaire. So anyway, Sheridan and Luis have a very long reunion. Yeah. To the point that if I had been watching this in real time, I would have thought, this is
Here we are.
It.
This is it.
There. They finally found each other. No, the bitch is dreaming. Dream on, dream on, dream on. She's dreaming, of course. And she wakes up, she's sad. Luis walks into his room to go get that stupid fucking picture frame, the photo album. The very next picture after his family is Sheridan. He flips the page and it's Sheridan on the other page. I said, "Oh my fucking God, they sick. They are sick for this. They are sick in the head. That's diabolical."
Yeah.
Why would you do that to the Sharice fans? Why would you do that to them?
Yeah.
Horrible.
I gotta say, we were dreading this section. You single-handedly made this section the best part.
I am sick of this. You know what though? This week was better than past weeks because at least we got Luis and Antonio together a little bit.
Yes.
At least
something
we're moving
happened
a little bit.
Yeah.
Because they have not. It has been nothing after nothing after nothing after nothing for months. For months on this. So, all right. That's the end. You have anything to add?
This was so much fun.
Yeah.
This was hysterical. So much happened. I mean, you made the Luis stuff fun. I mean, But God, y'all, we did some missionary work for you all because
Yeah, the
it was
Lord's
hard.
work. The
I
Lord's
was
work.
like, I'm jokingly saying this, but it was difficult. I really, my first note was, do we have to have a shoey section?
We have to.
But
Truthfully, I
yeah,
think that every
no,
week. I think about it
yeah.
every week. I'm like, maybe I'll start cutting out some of these.
And, no, no, no. And I think that that is where you come to appreciate magic. You come to appreciate like Tabitha and Timmy just having a conversation. Like it breaks up the monotony of that stuff because
Yeah.
if you don't have that other stuff going on, it is very, very unbearable to get through
Drudgery.
Showese right now.
Absolute
But
drudgery.
yeah, and that's
Yeah.
because they're doing so good. Like the actors are Sheridan and Luis, they're incredible. Mackenzie, they're just fantastic.
Yeah.
But they are playing the same thing over and over. And we're stuck in a loop, and
Yeah.
that's what it is. But no, I had a great time. It was so much fun. I've been so happy to be back. I'm so happy you're back, and I can't wait to see what comes down the road for the rest of the episodes.
I can't wait either. Thank you so much for being with
Yeah.
me here again, Eric. You will be seeing Eric again when we'll get the schedule together and figure it
Yeah.
out. We'll be seeing Uche next week, so that'll be fun.
Yay!
Yeah. I'm trying to. Hopefully we can get the panel together again.
Cool. Yeah.
Soon. So, all right, y'all. Eric, where can the people find you?
I'm Mr. Eric Vera on pretty much everything.
All right, you can find that linked in the description. And with that, you are my passion for life.